Hi, all of you. Good morning. Online, offline. Karan, Dhananjay, Rahul. Good morning. Shubham. Yeah, we are starting, Shubham. Hello, Prabhat, Arjun. Yeah, nice to have all of you here. Good morning, Masood. Nampa. Okay, so your long day starts now. And those who are giving your 2024 attempt, I think the clock has started now. Okay, don't look for a convenient way out now. अब आपका 8, 9, 10 घंटा जो भी है, I'll work that out for all of you. Hi, Shubham. Am I audible online? Can you all confirm that? No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. No problem. As long as you guys are learning, I'm fine. Hello, Aisha, Arya. Yeah, can you all confirm? Am I audible to all of you? Streaming fine? Am I streaming fine? Yeah? Okay. Okay. I have my, hello Shubham Yadav. Okay, I have my shellfish regions there, definitely. You know, after what, almost 23, 24 years of teaching and career building, I think I have crossed some line there. Now my only objective of my life is to do something really tangible. You guys qualify. And in the process, I get to set up Edukemy. In the process, I hope to get an honest education institute on. Now, ORN, my partner, Dev, he says, ORN looks like a fish market. Everybody is selling the same fish. Okay, so what are we doing differently? Okay, are we addressing the process differently or not? So that's my effort. So I have my selfish reasons, I said. You guys qualify. Okay, we all do what it takes. And in the process, I always say this, we become an honest institution. Okay, and you guys support me in all of this. Okay, do well. आपको जो चाहिए बताइए, हम रहेंगे आपके साथ में. Yes, Dhananjay. Okay, fine. Let me start off now. So, welcome all of you, online students. Today is your first class for economy. Now, I'll just brief you on this fact. एक तो you must differentiate two terms. What is economics and what is economy? What is political science and what is polity? Okay, so geography में, the way we study, I mean, most of you know this now. We study, man, his environment, what he does. And what he does का एक बहुत important part है, what he does with his resources. How does he manage resources? How does he manage growth? So I was hearing a professor once, he said, in short, economics क्या है? What is economics? Economics is the art of managing your limited resources in such a way that it benefits your growth and development. That's economics. Now, this definition of resources has changed and the definition of growth and development has changed. The key principle remains the same. Economics is about how do we manage our resources, and whenever we say resources, there is an element of limit. It is not inexhaustible resources. There is a limit of coal, limit of your oil, the limit of gold, the limit of iron ore, एक limit है. Because if something was limitless, then we would not require management. Okay, so manage your time. ये कब issue बनता है? When your time is limited and you're struggling with too many things. So whenever we use the word management, it's always about managing something that is not abundant and exhaustible नहीं है. And second, how do you use it for your development, your growth? So in our definitions across the years, as economics has expanded, the idea of resources has changed. पहले शायद resources were more around money. Resources probably was your coal, oil. Today resources is technology. Today resources is human resource, human skills. Today, resources includes data, and growth development has changed. There was a time when per capita income was development, per capita earnings was development. Now we know development includes social issues also. Okay, your empowerment, your political systems, that's also development. So economics ये सब deal करता है. And in geography, we have this overlap. Because to have development, you need many other infrastructure. You need to make roads, railways, you need to have industries, you need to have agriculture. And any activity you do, you need a place, you need a location. I want agriculture, I need a place I can cultivate. I need to have farms, I need to have a place where I can have my estate. I must have industries, I must have a location where I can have industries. So जहां पर resource आ गया, place आ गया, geography is there. Okay. So with this intent, we'll start off the process. Of course, if I was in your place, I would have appreciated entire economy is overlapping with geography. I mean, I had a teacher of mine when I started off my process of learning. Back in my times, we used to have a book called as Dat Sundaram. वो अभी भी है. It's a detailed book. It's an incredible book. Dat Sundaram, economy. And he had read that book God knows how many times. And every year he would buy a new edition and read again. So he recommended that to me. Shabbir, if you want your geography to be strong, you need to control economy very well. Economy principles, economy processes, economy laws. Okay, and I think my interest in economy goes back then. In fact, I remember in my school, class 9th and 10th, we used to have a project. And the project I took up was economy project. I don't know why. I liked it probably. And my theme of my project was demography. Class 9th में पहली बार मैंने सुना था कि what demography भी है. And I still remember very fondly. And demography project I did from Sundaram for some reasons. I don't know why, because one of my professors in my school told me use that and I did that. So what I'm saying is, one reason why people don't score marks across subject is they do not have that sense of interlinkages. आप geography को बिना history पढ़ नहीं सकते, आप history को बिना social issues पढ़ नहीं सकते. You can't appreciate challenges of the world today, conflicts, without understanding politics, without understanding issues of environment. You cannot understand issues of science technology without security. So I think geography is a very nice excuse to start this integration process. Because one integration I demonstrated when we were discussing environment disaster management. Some of you were there in those classes. ये second attempt है मेरा. वैसे I'll see if I can help you in your IR also, again with the GS and options coming together. ठीक है? So put your efforts in, and economy is not something you can mechanically by heart. आपको समझना होगा. And I'll see if I have time again. There are 5-6 broad areas in economy. जैसे money and banking एक है. Okay, a very broad area is infrastructure. A very broad area is taxation. A very broad area is how we have pricing control, part of monetary, of course. What you should do is study these sections so beautifully and so nicely that you can summarize each of this in less than 2 or 3 pages. Pura money banking in 2 or 3 pages with schematics, diagrams, flowchart. Okay, I used to have my sheet, but in time I have lost those sheets. Pura entire fiscal thing in 1 or 2 or 3 sheets. The entire taxation process, okay, in 2 or 3 sheets. If you can do this, pura economy aapka will not be more than 15 pages of very nice detailed work. And economy is hardcore current affairs also. Okay, I mean that's one of my objectives. Abhi tak kar nahi paaye hain. I'm sitting one milestones properly for all of you. So current affairs, we'll see what we can do eventually. But if you have understood polity, governance, you understand environment, you understand economy, and you understand some bit of social issues, your current affairs is done. फिर आप कोई भी article पढ़ेंगे, आपको समझ में आएगा. Okay, so this is the intention here. So spend whatever time you have with the teacher. Our teacher will be Tahleel sir with you. He has done his post-graduation from Edinburgh. He has done a couple of economy diploma sessions also. And I trust this teacher. He has been with us for almost 3 years now. He always says, sir, give me more time to teach. Okay, I can do it better, but then my problem is I have a time schedule I must adhere to. I can't let the course go beyond. But because he's insisting, I'll see if I can give him extra sessions also. And you guys, please be okay with it. Okay, it could be on Sundays, it could be maybe a half an hour early morning. Okay, allow him to teach with the passion that I believe he is capable of delivering. Or koi doubts hoga, whatever you have, you can get in touch with us and we'll clarify it. Okay? So economy will start off, and as a principle, the way we do, all of you make sure that you have your synopsis on a daily basis. Okay, no class is worth the class agar aap synopsis nahi bana rahe. And if some of you have done economy, ask, encourage, कि sit back again and revise maybe with Tahleel sir. एक बार जनरली कोई टॉपिक को आप 2-3 बार सुन लेते हो, okay, that concept probably gets crystallized. ठीक है? So welcome all of you. Now let me invite Tahleel sir here. So he is with me, Tahleel sir, and I've just briefed them about our approach. Some of them have done economy. They are repeating it with you more or less. And I've requested them to give you more time as and when required. You do justice to the subject. So we have online students here and here, Shubham and the rest here. Okay, so it's on. It's your call now. I have briefed them that development topics, inclusive was part of geography also. There's a syllabus there. So whatever it takes, we'll start off now. Perfect, sir. Okay, so all the best, all of you. My wish.
Morning, everyone. How are you? I'm audible. I'm audible. Online students, is the voice clear? All right. All right, guys. I'm Tahleel Shah. I teach economics. I've been teaching economics in Edukemy for the last 3 years. So my whole goal is to teach economics in a way कि अगर आपका level 0 भी है, you have not studied economics at all. It's not your background. You're not done your NCRTs. We'll study economics in a way कि आपका वो base foundation cover हो जाए, and of course some advanced level topics as well. So it will be a very learning and enriching experience for everyone. And I guarantee you one thing, that the moment I leave this class after 1 or 1.5 months, you will learn economics in a way that you would not have learned so far. और आप बहुत कुछ सीख कर जाओगे मेरे क्लास से. Not especially about economics, but general, about the general studies as well, and about how to approach UPSC and about how to go for answer writing, etc. etc. PYQs कैसे हैंडल करने हैं, एग्जाम का मेजर अप्रोच क्या होना चाहिए, उसके साथ साथ इकोनॉमिक्स का जितना भी पोर्शन है वो तो होगा ही. सो माय मेन एम इन दिस क्लास ऑफ योर्स इज, सबसे पहले आज के लेक्चर में व्हाट विल डू इज वी विल गो विद सम इंट्रोडक्शन अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स. इसका पहले हम इंट्रो देखेंगे, और इंट्रोडक्शन में आई गिव एटलीस्ट वन आवर और 1.5 hours. Because this is where you're first time getting exposed to a subject like this. And I'm taking the class as if you've not learned economics so far. तो मैं बिल्कुल जीरो से शुरू करूंगा, ताकि पहली मर्तबा जब आप इकोनॉमिक्स से एक्सपोज हो जाओगे, so what is the basic idea about economics you should have. उसके बाद से we'll build up on concepts, फिर जाके हम सिलेबस को टच करेंगे by the end of the lecture. पर आज 1 घंटा, कम से कम 1-1.25 घंटा हम सिर्फ इस पे देंगे कि इकोनॉमिक्स है क्या. तो इंट्रोडक्शन जब हम करेंगे, primarily introduction mein, whenever a new subject is being introduced to you, the first thing we require is its origin. Because without understanding the context in which the subject was introduced, तब तक आपको पता नहीं चलेगा कि इसका subject matter क्या है, कि इसमें पढ़ना क्या है. Now for example, a new thing is getting into picture, you will not understand, you will not value that new thing unless you understand कि ये आया कहां से और आया क्यों है. तो इसका कंटेक्स्ट, इसका ओरिजिन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वंस वी अंडरस्टैंड कि इकोनॉमिक्स का ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ, देन ओनली वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड इसका एवोल्यूशन कैसे हुआ. फिर इकोनॉमिक्स पहले क्या था व्हेन एडम स्मिथ वाज इन द पिक्चर. फिर आज का इकोनॉमिक्स क्या है. पहले हम कहते थे इकोनॉमिक्स फोकसेस ऑन वेल्थ, वेल्थ वाला पैसे कैसे बनाने हैं, पैसे को मैनेज कैसे करना है, रिसोर्सेज है आपके पास, यू हैव लिमिटेड रिसोर्स, एवरीबडी नोज दैट. अर्थ इज 4.5 billion years ago earth was formed. After that no new thing is getting added, no new resources are getting added. जो है बस वही है, जितना अर्थ है उतना ही है, जितने रिसोर्सेज है उतने ही है, exhaustible resources. Now with this limited set of resources you have, how do you manage those resources? Because 750 crore लोग population है पूरी दुनिया की. How do we manage these resources and utilize these resources in a way कि ये 750 crore लोगों का भला कर सके. So that is how economics was there initially, that how do we manage our resources. आज का economics is beyond economics. आज के economics को हम meta economics कहते हैं. Meta economics is not only concerned about managing your resources, वो तो पहले का सिस्टम था. Meta economics is now all about anthropology, it is about sociology, it is about psychology. So we right now are at a situation where we are beyond economics, और economics ने environment को अपने अंदर ले लिया है, that is sustainable. तो इसी को हम कहते हैं डेवलपमेंटल इकोनॉमिक्स, कि ऐसा मैनेज करो रिसोर्सेज को कि फ्यूचर जनरेशंस के लिए भी आपको छोड़ कर जाए. तो गेटिंग एनवायरमेंटल सस्टेनेबिलिटी इनटू इट, ऐसा मैनेज करो रिसोर्सेज को कि इंसानों की हेल्थ डेवलप हो जाए, गेटिंग वेलफेयर इकोनॉमिक्स इनटू इट. तो सब कुछ है. पहले इकोनॉमिक्स वाज ओनली कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड अबाउट कि वेल्थ जनरेट कैसे करना है. नाउ इकोनॉमिक्स इज ऑल अबाउट वेलफेयर, डेवलपमेंट. दैट इज हाउ आवर ब्रिलियंट इकोनॉमिस्ट अमर्त्य सेन गॉट हिज नोबेल प्राइज इन डेवलपमेंटल इकोनॉमिक्स. इन्होंने HDI का एक इंडेक्स बनाया था महबूबुल हक के साथ. तो वो HDI क्या है, फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम वी हैड एन इंडेक्स जिससे हम इंसान की डेवलपमेंट को एक्चुअल पॉइंट्स में मेजर कर सके. बिकॉज डेवलपमेंट इज ए क्वालिटेटिव कॉन्सेप्ट. वी डोंट नो कि डेवलपमेंट में कौन सी चीजें आनी चाहिए, कौन सी नहीं आनी चाहिए, बट हमने पहली मर्तबा उसको मेजर किया है इन एब्सोल्यूट टर्म्स. तो उस पर उनको फिर नोबेल मिला. नाउ विल फर्स्ट गो विद इंट्रोडक्शन, origin of economics and evolution. Evolution में ही आप देखेंगे, I would cover the first chapter of your NCERT. First 2 chapters of your NCERT would be covered in introduction only. ठीक है. फिर घर पे जाके जब आप NCERT खोलेंगे, everything will become very easy for you. So in this class, I'll be mostly covering all your जो major आपका NCERT का portion है, primarily class 12 macroeconomics is very important for you. Don't go for micro. जितना micro में important है, I'll cover that in the class itself. You can skip the micro part. Macro आपको पढ़नी चाहिए. If you don't like the language of NCERT, so it's better to go for Tamil Nadu board books. तो तमिलनाडु की आपको इकोनॉमिक्स की बोर्ड बुक्स आएगी, वो आप ला सकते हैं. इट्स वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड इफ यू डोंट लाइक NCERT लैंग्वेज, अगर आपको समझ नहीं आ रही. बट इफ यू डू लाइक इट, देन गो फॉर NCERT ओनली. नाउ विल बिगिन विद इकोनॉमिक्स का इंट्रोडक्शन. नाउ सी, first question I'm addressing today is, I will not go into the word economics, वो बाद में आता है. The first thing is context, कि economics की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी आपको. सबसे पहले we'll basically understand this particular phrase, economics versus economy. Once we understand this phrase, then only we can understand कि हमें दोनों में से पढ़ना क्या है. Now see, most of you would not have done your post graduation in economics or your graduation in economics. So I can safely say that आपका बैकग्राउंड नहीं है. और जब बैकग्राउंड नहीं है, तो अगर ये आपके सिलेबस में होता, लाइक इकोनॉमिक्स आपके सिलेबस में होता, then it would have been very difficult to teach you, और उसमें काफी समय लगता. I would have to take almost 3 to 4 months to cover your economics portion अगर इकोनॉमिक्स आपके सिलेबस में होता. थोड़ा टेक्निकल है, थोड़ा मैथमेटिक्स लगेगा, थोड़ा इसमें ग्राफ्स लगेंगे. वो है थोड़ा इकोनॉमिक्स जिसमें हम कोर डिसिप्लिन पढ़ते हैं. पर फॉर्चुनेटली आपके सिलेबस में क्या लिखा है, इंडियन इकोनॉमी. दे हैव नॉट रिटन द कोर डिसिप्लिन वाले टॉपिक्स, दे हैव नॉट रिटन द कोर इकोनॉमिक्स वाले टॉपिक्स. आपके सब्जेक्ट में जो भी टॉपिक है, जो भी सिलेबस में आपके टॉपिक है, दैट इज प्योर इकोनॉमी. तो सबसे पहले विल अंडरस्टैंड कि इकोनॉमिक्स और इकोनॉमी में फर्क क्या है. नाउ सी, इकोनॉमिक्स क्या है, इट इज principles. आप साथ साथ लिखिए, इट इज प्रिंसिपल्स, मॉडल्स, principles, models, and theories. Principles, models, and theories. Don't miss anything, okay? A lot of things would be covered in the discussion itself. अगर आपको लग रहा है anything valuable is being taught to you, just write it down side पे जो आपके notes हैं. And I'll be also checking कि आप synopsis वगैरह कैसे बनाते हैं. आप बनाते होंगे synopsis. All right. So economics क्या है? Principles, models, and theories. For example, let's imagine a situation where we are in 1947. India has got its independence, और अब Britishers are telling you, run your own country. अब भारत को चलाना चाहते चलाइए, अब जैसे चलाना चाहते चलाइए. Imagine उस वक्त आप डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी पे थे, उस वक्त आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे इंडिया के. नाउ इमेजिन अ सिचुएशन जहां पर आपको अब डिसीजन लेना है कि भारत इंडिया किस डायरेक्शन में जाएगा. नाउ टेल मी, आपका प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या होगा? व्हाट डू यू वांट टू अचीव इन 1947 अगर आपको डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी मिलती? व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू अचीव? In 1947, development as a concept was not evolved at that time. To end poverty. How do you end poverty? By providing basic necessities. You end poverty by that? You just provide basic necessities. That is not ending of poverty. You have to get the people out of the poverty line. That is ending poverty. आप basic necessities दे रहे हो, आप खाना दे रहे हो, आप कपड़ा दे रहे हो, आप मकान दे रहे हो. You're not ending poverty. You're just giving them the basic necessities to survive. That is survival. आपको sustenance चाहिए. आपको ऐसा देश चाहिए जिसमें गुर्बत से बाहर आपने निकाला. No, we like to criticize China for everything, for their policy and all. But you should commend China with what they have done. China is the only country on the face of the planet to have get out 700 million people out of poverty. 70 करोड़ लोग गुर्बत से बाहर निकाले उन्होंने. अमेरिका की पूरी पॉपुलेशन उससे आधी है. इतना ह्यूज चाइनीज मॉडल just help them to get 700 million people out of poverty. So that is getting people out of poverty. जब आप उनका स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ाते हो. See, tell me 47 में क्या करना चाहिए था? एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना चाहिए था, सेल्फ रिलायंस. No, give me like actual practical thing. These are some bookish language, you know, managing the resources. मुझे शॉर्ट में बताओ 47 में करना क्या था? एक वर्ड, एग्रीकल्चर. मतलब what is the objective? You're giving me what you're telling me is the method by which we are going to achieve something. My question is, achieve क्या करना है? That is my question. आप बोल रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चर से जाओ, भाई करना क्या है देश में? हाँ? Now see, one thing I will tell you that was actually the objective in 1947 and later on in 1950 जब प्लानिंग कमीशन बना था, उन्होंने स्टेटेड ऑब्जेक्टिव रखा था कि हमारा इंडिया, इसका प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू अचीव ग्रोथ. टू अचीव ग्रोथ, हमें ग्रो करना है. अगर आज 1947 में हमारा इनकम, लेट्स सपोज आवर इनकम इज 100 करोड़, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू सर्वाइव इफ आवर इनकम इज ओनली 100 करोड़ इवन आफ्टर 10 years. We have to keep on growing, and once you grow, the growth trickle down to the bottommost stratum of the society. आप ग्रो करो, बीच में आप ग्रो करो, आप किसी सेक्टर को ग्रो कराओ, वो ग्रोथ फिर ट्रिकल डाउन करती है नीचे बाकी सेक्टर्स, वो सबको ऊपर उठाती है. दैट इज गेटिंग पीपल आउट ऑफ द पॉवर्टी. दैट इज व्हाई यू वर टेलिंग मी सर इंडस्ट्रीज पे फोकस करो. व्हाई? बिकॉज आप इंडस्ट्रीज पे फोकस करोगे, यू विल क्रिएट वेल्थ, एंड दैट वेल्थ विल ट्रिकल डाउन टू द बॉटम मोस्ट स्ट्रेटम. एंड व्हाट विल हैपन? द ऑब्जेक्टिव विल बी फुलफिल्ड. यू आर गेटिंग ग्रोथ इन द इकोनॉमी. आप लोगों को ऊपर उठा रहे हो, उनका स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ा रहे हो. तो यू वांट टू अचीव ग्रोथ. Now, how to achieve growth? That's the question. 47 में, let's suppose you are the Prime Minister of India. People are asking you how to achieve growth. आपके पास आंसर क्या है? You need to have an economic model for that. Economist आपको बोलेगा कैसे अचीव करना है. आप बैलेंस्ड ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी लेकर आगे जा सकते हैं, आप अनबैलेंस्ड ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी लेकर आगे जा सकते हैं, आप भगवती स्ट्रैटेजी लेकर आगे जा सकते हैं, आप अमर्त्य सेन की स्ट्रैटेजी लेकर आगे जा सकते हैं. You can achieve growth by multiple strategies. हमारे पास एक किताब आती है झिंगन के नाम से, वो सिर्फ ग्रोथ के मॉडल्स की किताब है। इतने सारे मॉडल है ग्रोथ के, डब्ल्यू रोस्टो मॉडल, कौन सा मॉडल, कैल्डर्स मॉडल, वी हैव मॉडल्स इन ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट बाय लीप्स एंड बाउंड्स, इतने सारे मॉडल्स। ना इकोनॉमिस्ट आपको बोल रहा है कि कैसे ग्रो करना है, तो यू हैव टू स्टडी, यही मैं कह रहा था, यू हैव टू स्टडी अ मॉडल, यू हैव टू स्टडी अ थ्योरी, यू हैव टू स्टडी अ प्रिंसिपल। जब आप प्रिंसिपल, थ्योरी और मॉडल पढ़ते हो, दैट इज इकोनॉमिक्स। ये यूनिवर्सिटीज में पढ़ाया जाता है कि कैसे एक देश ग्रो कर सकता है, एक लीस्ट डेवलप्ड कंट्री कैसे ग्रो कर सकती है, एक डेवलप्ड वर्ल्ड के लिए कौन सा अच्छा मॉडल है। तो ये सारे मॉडल्स, मैथमेटिकल मॉडल्स आपको इकोनॉमिक्स में पढ़ाई जाती है। फॉर्चुनेटली आपको वो क्लास में नहीं पढ़ना है, नोबडी इज गोइंग टू आस्क यू। अभी तक कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आया है इकोनॉमिक्स वाले मॉडल्स और थ्योरीज, दे डोंट आस्क दिस थिंग। आपको याद होगा, हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस महालनोबिस, द गाय नेम महालनोबिस? उनका एक मॉडल था, महालनोबिस मॉडल। इंडिया ने वही अप्लाई किया था सेकेंड 5 ईयर प्लान में 1956 में। तो दैट वाज एन इकोनॉमिक्स का मॉडल। ठीक है, अब ये तो हो गया थ्योरी वाला पार्ट, प्रिंसिपल वाला पार्ट, मॉडल वाला पार्ट। ये नहीं पढ़ना, हमें क्या पढ़ना है? इकोनॉमी। इकोनॉमी क्या है? इकोनॉमी इज अ सिस्टम दैट एनकम्पासेस ऑल दीज प्रिंसिपल्स, मॉडल्स एंड थ्योरीज। ये सिस्टम है, इट्स अ प्रैक्टिकल सिस्टम। Economy is a system that encompasses all these theories, models, and principles. Yes, Piyush, Nikita, Masood. Now see, आपको बेसिक आइडिया मिल रहा है? What is economy? Economy is a system. Short में system in the sense when you practically implement these principles into the real life, that becomes economy. So economy simply says it is the practical implementation. Practical implementation. Practical implementation in a system. That is why there is this word economic system. सुना होगा आपने, economic system. ये एक सिस्टम है। इंडिया का एक अपना सिस्टम है, चाइना का अपना एक सिस्टम है, अमेरिका का अपना एक सिस्टम है। उस सिस्टम में उनके अपने थ्योरीज, उनके अपने मॉडल्स काम करते हैं। लेकिन इंडिया में वी हैव आवर ओन सिस्टम। एट सम पार्ट ऑफ द इंडिया वी हैव द गुजरात मॉडल, एट द अदर पार्ट वी हैव द केरला मॉडल। तो एक सिस्टम में, मॉडल में उसने इंडिया की इकोनॉमी को बनाया है। 1991 से पहले इंडिया का एक सिस्टम था। 1991 के एलपीजी रिफॉर्म्स के बाद इंडिया का अलग सिस्टम बना। दैट इज द सिस्टम एनकम्पासिंग ऑल दीज मॉडल्स एंड थ्योरीज। बट ऑन द अदर हैंड, अगर मैं इसको वन लाइन में सम अप करना चाहूं, इकोनॉमिक्स और इकोनॉमी का बेसिक डिसिप्लिन, तो आई कैन से इकोनॉमी इज इकोनॉमिक्स एट प्ले। इकोनॉमी इज इकोनॉमिक्स एट प्ले। इकोनॉमी इज इकोनॉमिक्स एट प्ले। डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस पॉइंट? इकोनॉमिक्स एट प्ले। जब इकोनॉमिक्स प्रैक्टिकली इंप्लीमेंट हो जाता है, इट बिकम्स इकोनॉमी। समझ आ रहा है आपको? एंड अनदर पॉइंट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज इकोनॉमी मीन्स नथिंग अनलेस you attach a region to it. Unless you attach a region to it. इकोनॉमी का कोई मतलब नहीं जब तक कि आप उसके साथ एक रीजन अटैच ना करें। What do I mean by that? अभी क्या मैंने आपको कहा? We have these principles, models and theories. They have to get implemented somewhere. कहीं इंप्लीमेंट करना है उसको। You have to have a system, और system has to have a location कि कहां पे सिस्टम एप्लीकेबल है। That is why I told you कि इकोनॉमिक्स, इकोनॉमी का कोई मतलब ही नहीं है जब तक कि उसके साथ आप क्या ना अटैच कर लो, कोई रीजन। रीजन इज इंपॉर्टेंट। That is why there is this name Indian economy, US economy, Chinese economy। हर एक इकोनॉमी के पीछे एक रीजन अटैच होता है ताकि आपको सिस्टम समझ आए, उस कंट्री का सिस्टम क्या है, उसमें कैसे प्रिंसिपल्स, कैसे मॉडल्स और कैसी थ्योरीज है। चाइना का मॉडल इज वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम यूएस मॉडल। चाइना के मॉडल को हम कहते हैं द बीजिंग कंसेंसस, यूएस के मॉडल को हम कहते हैं द वॉशिंगटन कंसेंसस। कैन एनीवन ऑफ यू टेल मी इंडिया किस कंसेंसस पे चलता है? हम पढ़ेंगे आगे, मैं बस ऐसे ही बता रहा हूं इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए। हमें पढ़ना है, कंसेंसस पढ़ना है। इंडिया चलता है वॉशिंगटन कंसेंसस पे। यू रिमेंबर एलपीजी रिफॉर्म्स, लिबरलाइजेशन, प्राइवेटाइजेशन, व्हाट वाज दैट? इट वाज वॉशिंगटन कंसेंसस। तो हमने आईएमएफ का कंसेंसस अडॉप्ट किया उस वक्त। आईएमएफ कहां पर है? यूएस, है कि नहीं? इट्स हेवीली कंट्रोल्ड बाय यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स। इनफैक्ट पूरी दुनिया आईएमएफ में अगर एक तरफ से वोट कर ले, अकेला यूएस उस पे वीटो कर ले, कोई कंट्री कुछ नहीं कर सकती आईएमएफ पे। सबसे ज्यादा वोटिंग पावर आईएमएफ के पास है, सॉरी यूएस के पास है आईएमएफ में। They cannot do, IMF cannot do anything except, with the concurrence of the United States of America. So this is what I was telling you कि consensus system model आपका अमेरिका का अलग है, चाइना का अलग है। सेंटियागो कंसेंसस अलग कंसेंसस, वो लैटिन अमेरिका में देखा जाता है। तो these are some very different systems in the world. तो आई होप कि आपको बेसिक पहला क्वेश्चन क्लियर हो गया। The first question was economics versus economy. Economics is principles, theories, and models. Economy is the system that encompasses all of it. It's the practical implementation of it. It is when we see economics happening. That is economy. ये तो हो गया पहला क्वेश्चन। सेकेंड क्वेश्चन I'll address is, and आपके सिलेबस में क्या है? इंडियन इकोनॉमी। वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड। आपको नहीं जाना इकोनॉमेट्रिक्स में, आपको नहीं जाना मैथमेटिक्स में, आपको नहीं जाना ग्राफ्स में, आपको बस मोटा मोटा समझना है और इंटर रिलेट करना है। वो मैं करा के दे दूंगा आपको। And it's very, Tyler Cowen is a brilliant economist. उसने कहा था, economics helps you, economics helps you lead a better and happy life. और उन्होंने साथ में ये भी कहा था, economics is everywhere. वो हर जगह है। आप अभी मेरी तरफ देख रहे हैं, आपको economics दिखेगा। आप बाहर जाएंगे, सड़क चल रही है, वो economics है, पीपीपी मॉडल इन्वेस्टमेंट का। आप अभी आपके हाथ में किताब है या आप इस क्लास में है, इट इज इकोनॉमिक्स, डिमांड एंड सप्लाई। ठीक है, एवरीथिंग एवरीवेयर, जहां पर अभी आप जो भी देखोगे दैट इज इकोनॉमिक्स। इकोनॉमिक्स इज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स इन द वर्ल्ड राइट नाउ। चाहे आपका यूक्रेन रशिया का जंग हो, चाहे आपका मिडल ईस्ट में प्रॉब्लम हो, चाहे आपका इंडिया में कोई प्रॉब्लम हो विद योर नेबर्स, एवरीथिंग इज इकोनॉमिक्स। दैट इज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स। हर किसी वॉर के पीछे, हर किसी जंग के पीछे, हर किसी बैटल के पीछे इकोनॉमिक्स इज द रियल कॉज। एंड वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड इकोनॉमिक्स, इट विल हेल्प यू इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ज्योग्राफी, इट विल हेल्प यू इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस। बहुत अच्छे से मजा आएगा आपको। एंड यू विल सी कि कैसे असल, देयर इज दिस वेरी वेरी ब्यूटिफुल बुक, कन्फेशंस ऑफ एन इकोनॉमिक हिटमैन। वो एक इकोनॉमिक हिटमैन ने एक किताब लिखी है। आई वुड रिकमेंड ऑल ऑफ यू टू गो फॉर इट। कन्फेशंस ऑफ एन इकोनॉमिक हिटमैन। कभी किताबें पढ़नी चाहिए बियॉन्ड योर यूपीएससी कोर सब्जेक्ट्स, उसके अलावा भी बहुत अच्छी किताब। जब आपके साथ पीपल, देयर आर सम पीपल, श्योर Sivanesan, I'll do that, fine. You would have heard about, there are people, they are getting into UPSC preparation just to become IPS officers. Why? Because in their past life somebody messed with them and now they want their turn कि अब हम दिखाएंगे इसको। बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग होते हैं। और what if they did not qualify UPSC, then what they do is they hire a hitman कि भाई जाके काम कर ले मेरा। अब hitman does your work for you. In the same way we have economic hitman जो economics पकड़ेगा आपकी। And IMF hires these economic hitmans whenever they have to have a relationship with the country, they send these economic hitmans. And this book has been written by an economic hitman. उसे खुद लिखी है ये, how we were being used to do the set of things that they did. आप पढ़ना इसके बारे में, you'll understand IR much better. ठीक है, तो ये इसके बारे में आगे भी बात करेंगे। तो फिलहाल अब हमारा सेकंड क्वेश्चन that I'll address is, अब इकोनॉमिक्स और इकोनॉमी तो डिफरेंस that has been clear. Now I'll first of all go with how economy, which is an entirely a system. It is a phenomena that you see as happening. How economy began as a phenomena. How economy began as a phenomena. ये जो आपको सिस्टम नजर आ रहा है, ये जो एक फिनोमेना नजर आ रहा है आपको इकोनॉमी का, where people do trade with each other. When you do trade with each other, that is economy. When you sell anything, that is economy. When you purchase anything, that is economy. Consumer का behavior is economy. Money is economy. ये पूरा का पूरा फिनोमेना कहाँ से शुरू हुआ? Now, ये आपका this is what will cover very key concepts of economy, like resources. I have 4 basic stages कि इकोनॉमिक फिनोमेना डेवलप कैसे हुआ. राइट नाउ आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स थ्योरीज एंड मॉडल्स एंड ग्राफ्स. वो बाद का कॉन्सेप्ट है. वो बाद में जब एडम स्मिथ आया तब जाके हमने उसको इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज किया. तब जाके फ्रॉम देयर ओनली एडम स्मिथ के बाद वी स्टार्टेड स्टडिंग इकोनॉमिक्स एज अ सेपरेट डिसिप्लिन. वो तो बहुत बाद की बात है. द फर्स्ट थिंग इज इकोनॉमिक फिनोमेना डेवलप कैसे हुआ. जब वो डेवलप हुआ उसके बाद ही आपको उसको पढ़ने की जरूरत पड़ी. देन वी हैव टू स्टडी दैट फिनोमेना. That becomes economics. So first of all, we'll understand कि economic phenomena develop कैसे हुआ. Now इसका the first important stage है, that is the economic phenomena began with the advent of humans. With the advent of humans. Now why did I say that? With the advent of humans. This is not me saying it. This is Alfred Marshall saying it. Advent of humans. Now see, मैंने कहा कि इकोनॉमी एज अ फिनोमेना बिगैन विद ह्यूमंस, यानी इंसान के अराउंड ही घूमता है पूरा. तो हमारा जो न्यूक्लियस है इकोनॉमी का, दैट इज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स. उन्हीं के अराउंड है पूरा इकोनॉमी. वी आर नॉट कंसर्न्ड अबाउट व्हाट द अदर स्पीशीज आर डूइंग. नो, ह्यूमन बीइंग्स सेंटर स्टेज आपके इकोनॉमी का. अब एडवेंट ऑफ ह्यूमन इज अ डिबेटेबल कॉन्सेप्ट. इफ यू गो बाय द ट्रेडिशनल our conventional traditional religious books and ideas, we have the idea of let's suppose in Christianity of Adam and Eve, the same idea in Islam. यहाँ पर भी आदि मानव का concept in India. शुरू का पहला इंसान, then मनु and then मनुस्मृति वहाँ से आ गई. So we have this idea of इंसान का एक divine origin है. And this is still a big problem, that the origin of life in biology. We don't really understand कि life, how life began on earth. We don't really understand that. We have some very good theories trying to give us very good explanation about how life began, but we really don't know कि शुरुआत कैसे हुई है. Then the evolution takes its place, takes its course. The Lamarckian evolution, फिर डार्विन का evolution, फिर नियो डार्विनियन, नियो लमार्किज्म, ये बाद में आता है सिस्टम. evolution तो is a separate concept. पर शुरू कहाँ से हुआ? The first thing that was living, वो कहाँ से आई? We don't know that yet. पर ऐसा सिस्टम है, अब जैसे तैसे करके इंसान आ गया. Through the process of evolution, इंसान आ गया. Homo sapiens. इंसान के अराउंड ही we have this very beautiful concept in humans. That is again a problem in biology. We call it the problem of consciousness. We don't really know कि इंसान conscious क्यों है. Like you know, when I'm talking to you, I know that there is something inside me that is aware of myself. मुझ में एक self awareness है. I know that I exist. You guys know that you exist. आप जिंदा है. आपको इस चीज का एहसास है. एक आम जानवर को इस चीज का एहसास नहीं कि वो जिंदा है. उसको सेल्फ अवेयरनेस नहीं है. वो अपने होने का एहसास नहीं है उसको. तो दिस ह्यूमन इज एट द सेंटर. दैट इज हाउ कॉन्शियसनेस इस तरीके से इवॉल्व हुई इंसानों में कि वी आर एट द टॉप ऑफ द एंटायर स्पीशीज, एंटायर वर्ल्ड स्पीशीज, बायोडाइवर्सिटी के टॉप पर है. वी आर रूलिंग द अर्थ. हालांकि हम बहुत कमजोर भी है. नाउ टेल मी, आर यू बेटर सूटेड टू लिव इन पोलर रीजन्स और अ पैंडा? पैंडा इज बेटर सूटेड फॉर दैट कंडीशन, है कि नहीं? Are you better suited to live in harsh conditions or an animal or a camel? Are you better suited to live in the water or a fish? They are better suited for their own environment. हम अपने environmental conditions में भी काफी खराब हैं. We are not suited for it. ज़्यादा गर्मी हो जाती है तो कपड़े निकालने पड़ते हैं, ठंड हो जाती है तो कपड़े लगाने पड़ते हैं. We don't see this type of behavior in other species. पर इतनी कमजोरियों के बावजूद one thing we had was our mind. कॉन्शियसनेस। उसके बाद से वी रीच्ड एट द टॉप। नाउ द आइडिया इज एडवेंट ऑफ ह्यूमन हो गया, इंसान शुरू हुआ। अब इंसानों में यू हैव दिस इनहेरेंट कैपेसिटी एज देयर इज इन अदर स्पीशीज, दैट इज इनहेरेंट नीड फॉर फूड। हमें खाना चाहिए टू लिव। और हम सबके, आप सबके, वी कॉल इट आबाओ अजदाद, लाइक योर जनरेशंस बिफोर, आपके दादा के दादा के दादा के दादा के दादा, सबके सब क्या थे? अर्ली मैन। चाहे आप कितने भी सोफिस्टिकेटेड क्यों ना हो, हमारे सारे के सारे जो ऊपर के हमारे पेरेंट्स थे, दे वर अर्ली मैन, हंटिंग एंड गैदरिंग स्टेज, फूड गैदर कर रहे हैं, हंट कर रहे हैं, खा रहे हैं। उसमें वेज नॉन वेज जो मिल रहा है सब खा रहे हैं। नाउ दैट वाज द स्टेज, द फर्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ एवोल्यूशन, वेयर ह्यूमंस वर एट अ हंटिंग एंड गैदरिंग लेवल। अब हंटिंग एंड गैदरिंग पे यू आर हैविंग फूड, यू आर गैदरिंग फूड। उसके बाद से यू आर टेकिंग केयर, यू आर सैटिस्फाइंग योर हंगर, यू आर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ योर हंगर। But I don't know how that happened, but somehow, somewhere, people started understanding that, the food that we gather from the jungle, it is better that if we take the seed, we can grow our own food. अपने खुद के ज़मीन पे. That was the first thing that created settlements, जिसको हम कहते हैं the beginning of agriculture. The beginning of agriculture. With the advent of humans, things became very interesting with the beginning of agriculture. Agriculture शुरू हुआ, we have the seed now, we plant the seed in the soil and we have our own food. उसके बाद से first of all हमारे पास क्या था? Slash and burn. आप क्या करते थे? आप ग्रो करते थे, उसके बाद उस जगह को छोड़कर you shift to another place, you shift to another place, you shift to another place. That was shifting agriculture. तो हम उतना ही खाना खाते थे. For example, I'll give an example. Suppose we have two people living in a house. Their need for food at that time was 10 kg each. So ho gaya 2 into 10. How many kgs? 20 kgs. 20 kg is the need of this household. Unka need kitna hai? 20 kg of food. And what we saw is the person who is now growing his own food is only producing 20 kg just to satiate their own hunger, just to survive. तो आपके पास जो भी जगह है, go for agriculture, आपका जरूरत जितना उतना ही प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. आपने कभी देखा है कि suppose you have a dog, he is overeating and getting obese? Have you seen कि जो जानवर है वो जरूरत से ज्यादा ठूस रहा है अंदर? We don't see that. We see this process only seen in humans. जरूरत से ज्यादा greed जिसको हम कहते हैं. जानवर उतना ही खाता है जितना उसको चाहिए, बाकी छोड़ देगा उधर ही. तो इंसान तब भी ऐसा ही था, वो उतना ही प्रोड्यूस करता था जितना उसको चाहिए था. ऐसे टाइप ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर को हम सबसिस्टेंस कहते हैं. इनिशियली व्हाट वी हैड इज सबसिस्टेंस, ये यहां पे लिखना, सबसिस्टेंस एग्रीकल्चर. सबसिस्टेंस एग्रीकल्चर. सबसिस्टेंस एग्रीकल्चर. व्हाट इज सबसिस्टेंस एग्रीकल्चर? व्हाटएवर यू नीड इज व्हाट यू प्रोड्यूस. आपको 20 किलो का राशन चाहिए, यू प्रोड्यूस 20 kgs. You need 30 kgs, you produce 30 kgs. You need 50 kgs, you produce 50 kgs. Whatever you need, you produce that. Subsistence agriculture भी ठीक ही था. Things became very interesting when subsistence agriculture shifted to surplus agriculture. Surplus agriculture. What I'm teaching, I'm just teaching you how economy began as a phenomenon. अभी आपको समझ आएगा. Surplus agriculture. Pay attention. Surplus. Surplus name only suggests कि अब आपके पास कुछ surplus है. For example, you have a household. Household का need जो है, what they need is 20 kg, but what they are producing is, let's suppose, 30 kgs. Now they are producing more. How did they do that? They would have understood. The technology improves. Our understanding of the nature improves. हमें पता चल गया होगा that if the seed is planted in a good fertile soil, and if you continuously give water to it and have sufficient sunlight, we'll produce more. So somebody would have done that at that time. तो उन्हें surplus agriculture शुरू कर लिया. And now for the first time, the household needs 20 kg, but what they have produced is 30 kg. So how much is the surplus of this household? 10 kg surplus. 10 kg surplus. ये surplus अब आपके घर पे डेवलप हो गया. आपका 10 किलो का surplus. Surplus का मतलब this is the surplus that I do not want to consume. मेरा consumption is done. My need is fulfilled. I don't need this 10 kg, but this is a surplus that I've produced. On the other hand, Sure, Rakhi. Okay. On the other hand, we have another household. Let's suppose the neighbor of the person, उन्होंने भी they again started going for surplus agriculture, और उनके पास surplus है, let's suppose again 10 kg. But the idea is the first household had a surplus of rice, the other household had a surplus of wheat. At different commodities produced, they're producing some different commodities. So our first household has produced rice, a surplus of rice. The second household has produced surplus of wheat. Now what they'll do, this is the rice that I do not want to consume. That is the wheat that he does not want to consume. Now what do? We can go for exchange. This is the fourth step. When surplus agriculture took course, there was a need for exchange. There was a need for exchange. There was a need for exchange. Is it clear? There is a need for exchange. Now pay attention. This kind of exchange, what am I giving to my neighbor? I'm providing rice. Is rice a commodity? Yes. What am I buying from him? Wheat. Is it a commodity? Yes. So a commodity is being exchanged with another commodity. Direct commodity to commodity exchange. This type of exchange ko what do we call? Barter exchange. Barter exchange. Initially, when exchange took course, it was only at a barter level. Is it clear? Barter exchange. What is barter exchange? You provide one commodity, you take another commodity. There is no medium. There's nothing, there is no objective, there is no role of money. Koi paisa nahi involved. Commodity do, commodity lo. That was the exchange for like thousands of years, barter. In fact, barter is again very relevant in these times also. We have already seen what happened in Zimbabwe in 2008. We have already seen what happened in Venezuela. We saw what happened in Germany. We saw what happened in Bolivia, Yugoslavia. Sari countries, the currency collapsed. And it is like high time you pay attention to this concept of money. Because when money collapses, जब currency collapse होता है, जर्मनी जैसी कंट्री में वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 के बाद इतने बड़े पैसे होते थे सड़कों पे, अंबार होता था पैसों का, currency notes like this at the street, nobody would touch it. You will still get the pictures of that time, 1920s का Germany. Nobody would touch the money, even the money was like this, surplus money on the streets of Germany. People just gave it up. The same thing happened in Zimbabwe. Everybody just lost confidence in the currency. Because currency में you don't have actual value. जो आप नोट इस्तेमाल करते हैं, it's 2000 rupee note. It does not carry 2000 rupee value. It's just a note. इसका value कुछ भी नहीं है. It has zero intrinsic value. When the currency collapses, आप सबका पैसा खत्म. You would have nothing left. That is why when people shift back to barter system, that happened after demonetization. Demonetization हुआ, the government ने कहा 500,000 खत्म, 500 and 1000 rupee notes खत्म हो गया. People shifted back to barter system. कि हम नहीं करेंगे पैसा इस्तेमाल. We will not take this money. So we have commodity. That is the real value. Actual wealth of the nation is not money that is in your bank account. Actual wealth is goods and services that you produce. Right now I'm providing you a service. This is actual wealth. इसका value है. Return में जो मैं ले रहा हूं, so they give me 10,000 rupees after I leave this class. That 10,000 is not the value. Value है जो मैं इस वक्त दे रहा हूं आपको. This is product है. आपके हाथ में एक कॉपी है, that is the value. That is a good, इसका value है. उसके बदले जो आप ले रहे हो, that's not the, it's just a form of money, वो medium है. तो पैसा जब collapse हो जाता है, people shift back to the actual commodities, goods and services, और उसी का barter करते हैं. तो barter is still relevant. Demonetization के time, just 5 years back, barter system started again in India at some point, in some villages. आज भी होता है. और barter का अलग से हम देखेंगे when I teach you money and banking. उसका पहला ही topic होगा the evolution of money. उसमें हम barter देखेंगे. First of all, I'm just giving you how economy began as a phenomena. Advent of humans, beginning of agriculture, which was initially at subsistence level, later on evolved into surplus agriculture. Jab surplus tha, there was a need for exchange, and exchange was initially at barter level. Later on, what happened? Ye commodity. We used to go for commodity to commodity exchange, but there is a problem in that. Let's suppose right now we don't have money. Imagine a situation where we don't have money, we are going for a barter exchange, and the same commodities are being delivered. For example, आप क्या करते हैं? What is your family occupation? क्या? हाँ, बिजनेस किस कमोडिटी बताओ? पेट्रोल पंप. तो पेट्रोल is the commodity. So what happened is money is not into the picture, and he has to study economics. इनको इकोनॉमी पढ़ना है. इकोनॉमी किसके पास है? मेरे पास, इधर. इसके पास क्या है? पेट्रोल. Now what happened is he got into the class. We started to have a barter exchange. I asked him, what do you want? He said economics. I can provide you economics. What do I want? I need petrol. So what I wanted was with him. What he wanted was with me. We call it double coincidence of wants. Our wants are coinciding with each other. My want is with him and his want is with me. So जब double coincidence हो गया wants का, the exchange is possible. I will provide him economics, he will provide me the petrol. तो double coincidence होना जरूरी है. Now we have another person like him. What is your background? Like घर पे, family. जॉब करते हैं. किसी का एग्रीकल्चर में है कुछ? कौन सा प्रोडक्ट? व्हीट राइस. सपोज राइस. व्हाट्स योर नेम? अभिषेक. तो अभिषेक गॉट नाउ पेट्रोल तो ले लिया मैंने, उसको मैंने पढ़ा लिया इकोनॉमिक्स. अब अभिषेक आए क्लास में, उसे कहा सर इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ना है. मैंने कहा ठीक है, आई कैन प्रोवाइड यू इकोनॉमिक्स. आपके पास क्या है? ही इज टेलिंग मी राइस. नो आई डोंट ईट राइस. तो इज द एक्सचेंज पॉसिबल? I don't want to have his rice, but he needs my economics. Exchange is not possible क्योंकि मुझे चाहिए नहीं इसके पास जो है. So I'll not provide him the economics because what he is providing me, I don't want that. तो double coincidence इसके साथ नहीं हुआ मेरा. तो he will have to go to some other teacher, economics वाले के पास. उसको बोलेगा सर राइस है लोगे? बोलेगा नहीं. दूसरे के पास राइस है लोगे? बोलेगा नहीं. तो उसको ढूंढना पड़ेगा मेरा डबल कोइंसिडेंस किसके साथ होगा. He'll have to search for a person जिसके साथ he can have a double coincidence of wants. So that is very problematic in barter system. You need to have, to make a sufficiently successful transaction, you need to have double coincidence, which is not easy to achieve. उसके लिए you have to go and make a lot of efforts to find a person जिसके साथ double coincidence बनेगा. समझ रहे हो? That is why, because of this limitation of barter system, we thought about why don't we, expel this limitation? Why don't we do away with this limitation and create an alternative system wherein the double coincidence is not required anymore? What we should do instead is, we should not directly go for commodity to commodity. What we should do instead is I convert this commodity into money, and with that money I purchase another commodity. तो अब क्या करना है? इन्होंने राइस अपना बेचना है. टू सेल हिज राइस एंड टेक दिस फॉर्म, इसको हम मनी कहते हैं. एंड विद दैट मनी कम टू मी, आई विल प्रोवाइड हिम इकोनॉमिक्स. दैट इज हाउ मनी बिकेम द मीडियम ऑफ एक्सचेंज. बिकेम द मीडियम ऑफ एक्सचेंज. मनी इज नॉट द एक्चुअल वैल्यू. एक्चुअल वैल्यू क्या है? कमोडिटीज. दैट इज द एक्चुअल वैल्यू. मनी इज जस्ट अ मीडियम फॉर ट्रांजैक्शन. Is it clear? Now, this type of transaction, when money is being used as a medium of exchange, is known as monetary exchange. Monetary exchange. So, barter exchange got replaced by what? Monetary exchange. Is it clear? Now, monetary exchange mein, you need to have what? You need to have money. Now pay attention. Can any one of you tell me what is money? What is money? It's the medium of exchange. Money has no form. Money का कोई form नहीं है. Money का एक function है. Money has to serve as a medium of exchange. इसके काफी सारे function हैं. There is a lot of functions. For now, money has a function of providing a medium for exchange. Now this mouse can provide a medium. ये लैपटॉप एक मीडियम हो सकता है. इंसान एक मीडियम हो सकता है. मीडियम कैन बी एनीथिंग. इट हैज टू सर्व एज अ गुड मीडियम. There was a time when cattles were considered money, because at that time that was the medium. There was a time जब dowry दिया जाता था तो 100 camel दिए जा रहे dowry. आज dowry किसमें दिया जाता है? Dowry like not dowry जो लड़की देती है, जो लड़का dowry पे करता है. Gifts पे करते हैं ना शादी के time, you provide gifts to your bride. We call that dowry. तो लड़का जब देता है dowry अपनी bride को, so that is provided majorly in the form of gold or majorly in the form of cash. तो cash and gold is now considered money. Medium है. एक जमाने में camels and horses were considered money. एक जमाने में arrows and bows were considered money. There was a time when seashells were considered money. India में cowries were considered money. Whale teeth were considered money. वो सब पैसा बन चुका है जिंदगी में. There was a time when gold and silver was considered money. Until recently, dirham or dinar, you might have heard about it. Dirham, dinar is gold and silver, actual money. Then paper is considered money at our times. हम उस वक्त पैदा हुए when paper is considered money. And we are transitioning to a world where some digits are considered money. आपको अकाउंट में मैं एक महीना जबरदस्त अपना गला फाड़कर पढ़ा रहा हूं आपको. एक महीने के बाद मेरे अकाउंट में कुछ टिक 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 होता है and I get happy. I get some digits in my account. So these some digits, virtual currency, इसको हम कहते हैं. There is no actual value. वो बस मीडियम का काम करता है. एक्चुअल वैल्यू है जो मैं अभी दे रहा हूं आपको. Fine? So beginning from monetary exchange में you can have some commodities being considered as money, and right now some virtual currencies being considered as money like bitcoins. We call them cryptocurrencies. ये सब these are forms of money. So monetary exchange could be, money could be used as a commodity, metals can be used as money, paper can be used as money, bank notes like checks can be used as money, drafts can be used as money, bitcoins can be used as money, anything can be used as money. तो monetary exchange में you have a lot of evolution कि कहां पर आपका money कैसे कैसे evolve हुआ है. This is the, आपको लग रहा है we are now transitioning into the field of economics? लग रहा है आपको? Advent of humans, beginning of agriculture, surplus agriculture, need for exchange, exchange होगा, trade होगी, trade होगा, currency आएगी, currency में money and banking शुरू हो जाएगा. That is, we're getting into the field of economics now. This is the how economic phenomena developed. And when this economic phenomena became very complex, there is a need to study it. अब आपको उसको पढ़ना है, अब आप उसको समझना है, because it's very complex now. अभी जब शुरू किया था, it was not that complex. Subsistence level, फिर surplus level, फिर barter तक भी it was not complex. Once money came into picture, it became very complex. Because money किसी को देना है. Somebody has to print it. And who will print it? A bank. Central bank. Then private bank. Then public banks. Then commercial banks. Then cooperative banks. It became very complex. तो complex हो गया, banking structure शुरू हो गया. Banking structure शुरू हो गया, monetary policy शुरू हो गई. ऐसे मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी आ रही है, वहां से फिस्कल पॉलिसी, उसमें भी पैसा ही इन्वॉल्व है. मनी दैट इज स्पेंट बाय द गवर्नमेंट, हाउ दे स्पेंट इट, दैट इज फिस्कल पॉलिसी. हर्ड अबाउट फिस्कल पॉलिसी? इट्स ऑल अबाउट मनी. द मनी दैट गवर्नमेंट रिसीव्स एंड द मनी दैट गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड्स, दैट इज फिस्कल पॉलिसी. व्हाट इज मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी? हाउ डू यू मैनेज दिस मनी इन द कंट्री, दैट इज द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. पैसे के अराउंड ही सब घूम रहा है. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, स्पेंडिंग ऑफ मनी फॉर द क्रिएशन ऑफ कैपिटल एसेट, स्पेंडिंग ऑफ मनी. ग्रोथ, spending of money in the creation of goods and services that increase your GDP, that is growth. Money value of all final goods and services, that is GDP. Everything revolves around money. That is economics का पूरा syllabus. समझ रहे हो? This is how economic phenomena began. Now there is a need to study this phenomena. अब इसको पढ़ना है. अब पढ़ने के लिए you need principles, theories and models. उसके लिए what do we have? Economics. समझ रहे हो? This is the economic phenomena. Next is how economics began as a discipline. How economics began as a discipline. How economics began as a discipline. I have just addressed two questions so far. One is the difference between economics and economy. Second is how economy began as a phenomena. तो economic phenomena देखा हमने, money तक पहुंच गया. Now it is too complex to understand for a layman. इसीलिए you need to make it a discipline जिसको पढ़ाया जाए कि ये है असल principle. ना उसके लिए यू नीड अ फील्ड ऑफ स्टडी, दैट इज इकोनॉमिक्स. अब इकोनॉमिक्स में इसका जेनेसिस, शुरुआत, बिगिनिंग, हाउ डिड दैट हैपन. इकोनॉमिक्स एज ए डिसिप्लिन की बात कर रहा हूं. फिनोमेना, देयर इज ऑलरेडी दिस फिनोमेना, इट हैज बीन देयर फ्रॉम 30,000 years. Now what we want is a discipline that has to be taught, the principles and models that has to be taught in the university. तो वो discipline शुरू कब हुआ? Like all subjects, it is also part of the mother of all subjects, that is philosophy. Philosophy, we call it the mother of all subjects. सारे major subjects philosophy से निकले हैं. आज हम क्या कहते हैं? We call, if somebody is called a philosopher, you understand he must have the knowledge about a lot of things. आजकल हम क्या कहते हैं लोगों को? We call the PhD scholar बोलते हैं उसको, research scholar है अपने सब्जेक्ट में, studied his own subject. Philosopher is not like that. Philosopher knows everything. उसको mathematics पता है. Like you have people like Al-Khwarizmi, or Hassan ibn Haytham is known as the first scientist. He came up with the method of induction that is used in biology and the physical sciences. Induction was given by Haytham. Haytham was a philosopher. उसको सिर्फ साइंस नहीं पता था, उसको साइंस के साथ साइकोलॉजी पता था, साइंस के साथ एंथ्रोपोलॉजी पता था, साइंस के साथ रिलीजन पता था. He was a master in all these major disciplines. That is a philosopher. उसको जो मेजर डोमेन होता है नॉलेज का, बड़ा डोमेन. Now that is what you require as a person, UPSC candidate. अब imagine करो आप, whatever you have done in your college time, you would have studied one particular sphere of knowledge. ये knowledge ही है, इल्म है knowledge. आपको बस उसका एक थोड़ा सा sphere है, subset. You don't know everything. ये तो UPSC में आने के बाद you start knowing about geography में क्या चल रहा है, पीछे वर्ल्ड मैप है आपका इतना बड़ा. Look at the world map, you know continents कहाँ हैं, various countries and ocean currents, आपके इक्वेटोरियल कौन से है, पोलर कौन से है, you know the planetary events कहाँ से चल रहे हैं, so you know the geography part. Then you understand the environmental part as well. Environment में climate change, global warming कैसे हो रहा है, GHG gases, greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect, if there was no greenhouse effect on the earth, we would not have survived. It is because of the greenhouse effect that we live. The problem is not the greenhouse effect, the problem is जो ज़्यादा हो रहा है उसका, that is the main problem. Climate is changing, it has been changing. Climate majorly changes through natural causes. आपका Milankovitch cycle हो गया, Earth changed this orbit, तो खत्म, climate change हो गया. We have like the Earth tilted at a particular degree. How much is that? 23.5. Does it always remain 23.5? It keeps on changing. So once it changes, climate change हो गया आपका इधर. So we have the Earth. You know, बचपन में we had those tops, जिसको हम tops में खेलते थे, घुमाते थे ऐसे. वो तेजी से घूमता था. Fast, rotates very fast. So once the speed was very slow, उसको ऐसे होने लगता था. Last, फिर गिर जाता था. Right? वो जो ऐसे हो रहा है, we call it wobbling. Earth also wobbles. Rotation के साथ wobble भी करता है. We call it a Milankovitch cycle. जैसे एक wobble complete होता है, climate change हो जाता है. So this happens. So these are natural causes. You know this through the environment only. So you studied environment. Then you also have to know about law. Also have to know about the legal system, the constitution, polity, governance. वो पढ़ रहे आप, तो वो भी आपको पता चल गया. Then economics में क्या हो रहा है? तो economics पढ़ रहे साथ. Science and technology. Now science and technology is a huge domain. Biotechnology, DNA से लेकर astronomy, beginning of the universe, सब कुछ आपके syllabus में. Nanotech से लेकर space tech, everything has been covered in science and tech. You know about the scientific developments as well. तो आपको एक complete personality बनाता है UPSC का syllabus. ऐसा syllabus there has not been taught in anywhere in any of the courses in India. कहीं पर नहीं. So that is why people say, you know, at least you should, whether you want to go for IAS or not, prepare for this syllabus at least for 2 years in your life. Even if you don't want to go for UPSC. लेकिन syllabus ऐसा complete overarching है, it will give you the knowledge about all the major things that are happening in the world. Makes you a complete aware citizen of the world. तो ये system. ऐसा ही एक philosophy भी होता है, you know everything. तो philosophy में we have a branch in philosophy that basically talks about society. Social aspect कैसा होना चाहिए? How should a society look like? So that branch of philosophy is known as social philosophy. It's known as social philosophy. What am I answering? Please be attentive in the class. How economics began as a discipline, it came from philosophy's branch, which is known as social philosophy. अब social philosophy में कहां से? Social philosophy talks about society. Social philosophy में we have a very beautiful concept. We call it the concept of distributive justice. The concept of distributive justice. The concept of distributive justice. Now, what is distributive justice? Now, pay attention. You have two words here. On the one hand, you have distributive. On the other hand, you have justice. Bataiye, there are these two words that have some meaning attached to it. Distributive talks about some kind of distribution that is happening. And justice means whether that distribution is just or unjust. This is the concept of distributive justice. The question is, we want to talk about the just nature of the distribution, but distribution of what? Now, when we talk about distributive justice, it is actually talking about distribution of wealth ka distribution, and whether that distribution is just or unjust. What do I mean by that? Why did we get wealth into the picture for the first time? Abhi tak, have we talked about wealth? We did not talk about wealth. Why do you want to talk about wealth now? Now pay attention. I talked about how economy began as a phenomenon. So everybody started to have surplus production, right? Surplus production. Surplus production in the form of goods and services. यही दो चीजें इकोनॉमी है, गुड या सर्विस, नथिंग एल्स. या तो आप कोई चीज बनाते हो दैट इज फिजिकल एंड टैंजिबल, और आप देख पाते. Other thing you cannot see, like service I'm providing to you, you cannot see this. So it becomes intangible. Yes, service. The other thing is this pen, it is tangible, it is physical, it has dimensions. So that becomes a good. यही दो चीजें, there is nothing else that is produced in the economy. या तो good हो गया या service हो गया. जब आप goods and services produce करते हो, what do you earn? You earn a lot of money. And with money, what do you have? You have your house, you have your land, you have your property. You develop wealth. You develop wealth. आप wealth generate कर रहे हैं. जितना goods and services produce होगा, the more you produce goods and services in the country, the more wealth you have. That is why when India talks about wealth creation in the economic survey of 2021, in reality it's talking about increasing the goods and services. That is wealth. Actual wealth. वही है. तो आपको करना कुछ नहीं है. हर किसी सेक्टर में, एग्रीकल्चर में बढ़ाओ, 4% ग्रोथ इज अवर टारगेट इन एग्रीकल्चर. इंडस्ट्रीज में बढ़ाओ गुड्स, सर्विसेज में बढ़ाओ सर्विसेज. तो जितना आप गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बढ़ाएंगे, द मोर यू हैव द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड इन द कंट्री, द मोर वेल्थ यू हैव, द मोर जीडीपी यू हैव, द मोर ग्रोथ यू. तो आपको गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज चाहिए. दैट गिव्स यू वेल्थ. नाउ पे अटेंशन. वी हैव सम पीपल इन द सोसाइटी that have been producing a lot of goods and services and that have generated a lot of wealth. There are some people that have a lot of wealth. And there are some people in the country that are not able to produce much goods and services and they have very low levels of wealth. So can you see there is a stark difference in the country? There is some part of India which is poor. There is some part of India which is rich. है कि नहीं? It was said by a comedian, because I come from an India that is basically, I come from two Indias. There is an India of the rich, there is an India of the poor. गुर्बत भी अजीम लेवल की है इंडिया में, टॉप लेवल की पॉवर्टी, और रिच भी बड़े टॉप लेवल के. स्टार्क डिफरेंस रिच एंड द पोर. नाउ ये जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है रिच और पोर का, देयर आर सम पीपल एट द टॉप, देयर आर सम पीपल एट द बॉटम. देयर इज अ distribution of wealth that has happened. It has created inequality. It has created inequality. Inequality in what? It has created inequality between the rich and the poor, and this inequality is basically on the distribution of wealth part. Some people have a lot of wealth, some people have low levels of wealth. Now my question is this distribution, which clearly is unequal, is this distribution just or unjust? Just or unjust? बताइए. शाबाश. I made a distribution between two parts of India. Is this distribution just or unjust? Is inequality just or unjust? Inequality होनी चाहिए नहीं होनी चाहिए? हाँ, नहीं होनी चाहिए. Now pay attention. As we have rightly said by Karan, it depends. It depends on the perspective that you're looking into it. किस perspective से आप देख रहे हैं इसको? Now pay attention. Suppose we have, I'll give you one example, जिसमें the distribution is the distribution is just. Like unjust है वो तो पता ही है. Rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. So poor are not getting equal opportunities. So that is unjust. वो तो पता है. I'll give you an example where distribution like this is also just, can also be considered just. Now pay attention, I'll give you a simple example of the classic. Suppose मैं economy का test लेना चाहता हूँ आपको. I am taking a test of economy. And economy का जो test है, that is 100 marks. So what I do is, I take a test, but I segregate the class into girls and boys. So there are girls that have studied very hard. And what they've got is, out of 100, they've got 80 marks. Out of 100, they got 80 marks. और लड़के, as always, निकम्मे ही होते हैं. They got 40 out of 100. 40 out of 100. अब जो ये मार्क्स का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, ये जो मार्क्स का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, गर्ल्स आर गेटिंग 80 not because they are girls, just because they've studied hard, and boys are only getting 40 out of 100 because they did not study hard. तो ये जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ मार्क्स है, it is equal or unequal? Is it equal or unequal? Equal है. Unequal है ना? इनको कितना मिला? 80. उनको कितना मिला? 40. तो unequal distribution है. पर whether this distribution, is it just or unjust? Just. Why is it just? Because they studied hard, they got 80. They did not study hard, they got only 40. But suppose I am a believer in absolute equality. I do not like inequality in the class. So what I'll do is, I'll subtract 20 marks from this and I'll give that 20 marks to the boys. So कितना हो गया? 60 and 60. That is absolute equality. Now tell me, can this be quoted as an example of unjust equality? कह सकता हूं मैं इसको? This is equality, no doubt it's equality. 60-60 दोनों को मिला, पर ऐसी equality is unjust. You have just taken it from somewhere, someone who deserved it, and you have given it to somebody who did not deserve it. So equality is not always just. Equality can also be unjust. This is what economic survey had it had said some time back. Inequality जो इंडिया की है, the inequality that we have in India does not conflict but converges with our national objectives. Conflict में नहीं है, ये converge कर रहा है. Inequality जो इंडिया की है, that is what economic survey had to say. हालांकि उसमें a lot of criticism came from the scholarship about that chapter in economic survey, but that is what they had to say, that inequality in India is fine. It is just, होनी चाहिए. Inequality say people who are studying hard, people who are working hard, they're getting more. So it encourages people to work hard to get more. तो वैसा system था. So this is the concept. We have distributive justice. Distribution किसका? Distribution of wealth, and whether that distribution is just. Write down one line. Distribution justice. Social philosophies, problem of distributive justice. Social philosophies, problem of distributive justice. That is, why some people are rich and some poor. why some people are rich and some poor, and whatever the answer, whether it is fair, and whether it is fair. Eighteenth and 19th century philosophers, 18th and 19th century philosophers wrestling with these questions, gave rise to economics, as a separate discipline. Gave rise to economics as a separate discipline. Now pay attention. Social philosophy, problem of distributive justice, why some people are rich, why some people are poor, whatever the answer, whether it is fair or whether it is just. इस क्वेश्चन का जवाब ढूंढते ढूंढते 18th and 19th century philosophers gave rise to economics as a separate discipline. They were trying to answer this question, why some people are rich, why some people are poor. And while answering that question, economics as a separate discipline came to be born. So that is how economics began as a discipline. It was actually philosophers trying to answer the concept of distributive justice. वहां से निकला आपका economics. समझा? Now pay attention. Economics में it came from the concept of distributive justice. Now it is actually talking about rich and poor, और उनके बीच में क्या है? Inequality. Inequality of what? Inequality of wealth. That is what economics wants to study now. It wants to study why is there the inequality between the rich and the poor, the inequality of wealth, and whether that inequality is just or unjust. That is the subject matter. So can I say when economics was born from the distributive justice concept, it was actually trying to deal with wealth? Can I say that? जब distributive justice पढ़ते पढ़ते क्या निकला आपका economics? It was actually trying to see how the wealth is being created, why some people are rich, why some people are poor, why some people have more wealth, why some people have low levels of wealth. It is actually concerning itself with the concept of wealth. इसीलिए एडम स्मिथ ने जब डिफाइन करना था व्हाट इज इकोनॉमिक्स, ही सेड व्हाट इज इकोनॉमिक्स, ही सेड साइंस ऑफ वेल्थ. ये वेल्थ स्टडी करता है. और आपने समझा वेल्थ क्यों? बिकॉज इट वाज ट्राइंग टू आंसर व्हाट? डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस. was trying to answer that problem. वहां से वेल्थ का डेफिनेशन आया है स्मिथ का, एडम स्मिथ का. सो वही है आपका कॉन्सेप्ट. क्वेश्चन नंबर कितने हो गए? क्वेश्चन नंबर 4, definitions of wealth, definitions of economics. Definitions of economics. First of all, we'll go with Adam Smith. Adam Smith has given the wealth definition. The wealth definition. He gave this definition in 1776 in his book Wealth of Nations. Wealth of Nations. 1776. Wealth of Nations. Clear? Now 1776 में when he tried to define economics, he called it, it is the science of science of wealth. Science of wealth. Clear? It will get first definition. Now see, I already told you, is economics now on, does it only deal with the wealth aspect? आज economics has evolved a lot. इसमें lot of other dimensions have been added to economics. This was the definition by the father of economics in 1776. तब जो economics था उसके हिसाब से उसने बोला it is science of wealth. Later on, a lot of modern definitions came into being. One of the modern definition was given by Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall gave this definition in 1890. 1890 in his book Principles of Economics. Principles of Economics. Is my speed fine? मैं तेज तो नहीं जा रहा? Online students, Karan, Piyush, Ganesh, Radhika. All right. Alfred Marshall gave this definition 1890 में in his book Principles of Economics. Now see, he just added one more word to it. He said, when we talk about wealth, we are talking about it is concerning itself the study of wealth. ठीक है. Economics is the science of wealth. Fine. You want to study wealth, how it is being created, कहाँ पर खर्च करना है, how a household is managing its wealth. So there is a rich household that has the management of wealth differently than the poor household. Rich भी manage कर रहा है, poor भी manage कर रहा है. Wealth के हिसाब से everything is being studied on the basis of wealth. Now Marshall said, it is fine that it is the science of wealth. I want to agree to that definition of Adam Smith, but it has to add one more dimension to it. Dimension is, it is a science of wealth, but in reality, it is a study of man. Because इंसान ही wealth creation कर रहा है. So in reality, it has not to be only concerned with wealth aspect, but इंसान के और भी welfare aspects होते हैं, है कि नहीं? तो वो भी account में लेना पड़ेगा. So it is a science of wealth, no doubt about it, but as a part of study of man. Fine, write down this definition. It is a study of wealth, but as a part of study of man. It is a study of wealth, but as a part of study of man. The same things, he rephrased it in this way. It is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It is the study of mankind. It is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. Study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. Ordinary business of life. That was the welfare aspect of it. जो Marshall ने दिया. We have one more definition, that would be the last definition. That is definition given by Lionel Robbins. Lionel Robbins. We call it the scarcity definition. The scarcity definition. He tried to define economics in a very different way. The scarcity definition. Gave this definition in 1932. 1932 in his essay, an essay on the nature and significance, on the nature and significance of economic science. Nature and significance of economic sciences. Nature and significance of economic sciences. Now write down his definition. First of all, I want you to write it down, then I'll explain. It is the science which studies human behavior as a relation between ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. Science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. It is the most beautiful definition of economics. I'll take almost 15 minutes to make you understand. It will cover very key concepts. Economics के बहुत key concepts इसी definition से मिलेंगे आपको. Now see. Concepts like budget वगैरह. You know what is budget? You'll understand it from this definition. Again, what did Adam Smith say? It is the science of wealth. Science wala part is covered by Adam Smith. So whenever science is being repeated in a definition, it is actually given by whom? Adam Smith. So Lionel Robbins is doing nothing here. It is just repeating what Adam Smith has already said, that it is a science. What is a science? कोई बता सकता है? Science क्या है? Systematic knowledge. No.
Knowledge based on experiments.
देखो उन्होंने क्या बोला? Knowledge based on experiment, observation, identification, etc. etc. So it is based on something. That means it is based on a method of gaining that knowledge. Science is nothing. Science is a method. एक तरीका है, एक process है, जिसके तहत we learn something. If we learn about the nature, that becomes the natural science. If we learn about the polity, that becomes political science. If we learn about economy, that becomes economic science. Science is nothing, it is a method. So वो method क्या है? It is in reality known as the method of induction. We call it the method of induction, the scientific method. तो science कुछ भी बन सकता है. If you follow that method to learn that thing, that becomes a scientific discipline. Now pay attention. Science is being used again here. That means through observation, identification of the patterns, theorizing about that particular knowledge, experimentally verifying that, that becomes a science. तो आप science की तरह economics को deal करना चाहते हैं. You don't want to make it all theoretical. You want to consider it as a practical subject as well. तो economics में scientific तरीके से हम पढ़ेंगे इसको. ये हो गया पहला चीज, science. अब science में पढ़ना क्या है? What do we study? Science which studies what? Human behavior. Can I say it's again talking about the same thing what Alfred Marshall had said? उसने भी कहा is a science which deals is a science of wealth but as a part of study of man. Study of man ही असल में. तो again here study of man studies human behavior. इंसान का behavior. But what kind of behavior? Now this is where a new thing came into picture. The behavior where we study the relation between ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. ये तीन चीजें मैं समझाऊंगा आपको. What are ends? What are scarce means? And what are its alternative uses? That is the key word here. Now to understand this, you need to understand one simple example. एक example में easily you will understand. What do I mean by ends, scarce means and alternative uses? And what do I mean by studying the relationship between them? Pay attention, I have my nephew, his name is Ali. He's just 3 years old. But he has learned to talk. बात करता है. Whenever we go to a supermarket, he comes along and then he cries like, मुझे वो चाहिए, मुझे ये चाहिए, उसको सब कुछ चाहिए. Like Jagjit Singh had once said, दिल भी एक जिद पे अड़ा है किसी बच्चे की तरह, या तो सब कुछ इसे चाहिए या कुछ भी नहीं. तो उसको सब कुछ चाहिए. उसको सुपरमार्केट में he wants everything. But can he get everything? नहीं. Why? Because I only gave him 100 rupees. So I gave my nephew only what? 100? With this 100 rupees, he can purchase a lot of stuff, but he cannot purchase all of these stuff. So I took him along to the supermarket. Tell me, this is the resource of 100 rupees. Is this resource limited or unlimited? Limited. It is a limited resource. It is a scarce resource. Scarce. Now, scarce resource ka, whenever we get into the supermarket, he finds out that with this 100 rupees, I can purchase a chocolate. I can purchase a chocolate. With this 100 rupees, I can either purchase a chocolate or I can purchase a notebook. I can purchase a toy. I can purchase a bag. I can purchase a pencil box. These are his, things that he can purchase with this 100 rupees. But he'll not be able to purchase all of them. सब कुछ तो नहीं खरीद सकता, इनमें से कोई एक खरीद सकता है. So what is this? Can I say that this is the scarce resource, and of this scarce resource, these are the alternative uses? कह सकता हूं मैं? You can use this resource to purchase one of the commodities. So whatever this became, all of them are known as alternative uses. You can use this 100 for the purchase of chocolate. You can use this 100 for the purchase of a toy. इसके alternative uses है. हर resource के alternative uses होते हैं. Can be used for anything. But now you have to make a choice. Now Ali is there facing a choice. He says, I will not be able to purchase all of them. Therefore, I have to make a choice कि मुझे क्या खरीदना है. Of these alternative uses, now I have decided that I will only be purchasing a toy. तो जब मैंने टॉय खरीद लिया, that became an end. क्या बन गया? End. समझ गया? This is a simple example. ये 5th क्लास के बच्चे को दी जाती है. But now I take the same example and I just twist the characters. Ali की जगह, now what I've kept is the government of India. Now the agent is the government of India. And do they have 100 rupees? No. They have 100 lakh crore. Limited hai, unlimited hai? Still limited. Of this 100 lakh crore, can they use it in agriculture? Can they use it in industries? Can they use it in services? Can they use it in education? Can they use it in health? Can they use it in infrastructure? Can they use it in any of the alternative uses? Yes. ये सब बन गए इसके alternative uses. Now we have the choice. Government has to make a choice. I cannot go and spend money in all these sectors. उतना है ही नहीं मेरे पास. I have limited resources. I have to make a choice. I have to prioritize. कि इसका थोड़ा मेजर पैसा जाएगा एग्रीकल्चर में, कुछ परसेंटेज जाएगा हेल्थ में, कुछ परसेंटेज जाएगा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, कुछ परसेंटेज जाएगा इंडस्ट्रीज में. So I'm allocating my resources into these various alternatives. That became my end. You know what do I call this? Choice of, can I say it's the choice of the government? It is the choice of the government where the government is allocating its resource to these alternative uses. This allocation of the resources simply is known as the budget of government of India. इसी को हम budget कहते हैं. Simply, what is the budget? Budget is the choice of the government. Government का choice. You have the same set of money जो कांग्रेस के टाइम भी था, जो बीजेपी के टाइम भी है. पैसा वही है. फर्क क्या है? Allocation, choice. That is how the choice of the Congress government and the choice of the BJP government is different. That is where they have to come up with the best choice for the country. Resources cannot be unlimited. It is not possible. Every government has limited resources. What differs between the governments is the choice. Why do we have to choose? Because the resources are limited. If you have unlimited resources, there's no concept of choice. Choice hai hi nahi. Because you can purchase everything. You don't have to choose. Suppose I gave unlimited amount of money to my nephew. He doesn't have to choose. He can take everything. But the problem is we have limited set of resources. One kind of resources is the demographic dividend, the people in the working age population. What do you have for them? Allocate this resource to a particular cause. You have to allocate it. ये resource है, उसको allocate करो. If you're not able to allocate, you are doing underutilization of resources, which the government of India is always being criticized about. कि resource है, utilize नहीं हो रहा है. Underutilization. We are under the production possibility curve. उसके अंदर है. We are not optimizing our resources. Optimal utilization हो ही नहीं रहा है. So you have the resources in India, just use it to its optimal end. Top notch का utilization होना चाहिए resources का. You have to be on the production possibility curve to achieve maximum output. तो idea ये है कि आपके पास you have the government of India, you have the limited resources के alternative uses and make a choice आपको कौन सा use चाहिए. That becomes your end. This is what Lionel Robbins said. What is economics? It is the study of human behavior as relation between ends and scarce means that have alternative uses. समझ आ रहा है आपको? Another example if you want. You have land. Limited है, unlimited है इंडिया में. Limited. Can it be used for agricultural purposes? Can it be used for industrial purposes, for setting up the factories? Yes. Now, कितना land agriculture में जाएगा? And how much of the land will be allocated to industries? You have to make a choice. You cannot allocate everything to agriculture. You cannot allocate everything to the industries. Make a choice. And that choice was made by the Parliament of India by the Land Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2013. कि ये उधर जाएगा, ये इधर जाएगा. Choice of the Parliament comes up with the policies. समझ आ रहा है आपको? Health में कितना जाएगा? That is the choice of the government. Education में कितना? Infrastructure में कितना? Choice of the government. तो ये choice तब आता है when the resources are scarce and limited. Is it clear? Now, either I want to add one more dimension to it because we are talking about scarce resources. So this dimension is a given. You remember 9th class, 8th class in our school days, we had some mathematical equations. Sir, mathematics ka question dete the. And first of all, what we used to do is, in that question, answer mein the first thing we would do is we would write given. है ना? कुछ given होता था. तो given में क्या? Question में वहीं से क्या दिया है? That has to be taken as the true. Given है वहीं से. फिर हम कुछ assumption करते थे, फिर solution देते थे. याद है? We used to given वाला factor. In the same way, economics का कोई भी question हो, anything that comes in economics, there is always one given that you have to take. One thing is always given. That is this part. Humans have limited resources. Humans have limited resources, but unlimited wants. This has to be taken as given. Humans have limited resources, but unlimited wants. Limited resources, but unlimited wants. Scarce resources. Scarce resources. When you have scarce resources, but you have unlimited wants, it gives rise to the problem of choice. It gives rise to the problem of choice. आपको choose करना पड़ेगा. You cannot go and achieve everything. We know that you have unlimited wants, but you have to choose. You have to prioritize. ठीक है, in 1947, you said India should have taken care of the developmental part. Development. Why would we care about education if our population, majority of the population are hungry? What would education give you? Education तो आपको result देगा 20 साल के बाद. Now there's a problem of survival. Education is a developmental aspect. The problem is health. The problem is survival. You have to feed your population. 47 में we prioritize. पैसा ज़्यादा नहीं है. We didn't have money. We prioritize. पहले will take care of the food security. पहले खाना देंगे. बाद में देखेंगे एजुकेशन. बाद में सड़कें पड़ गए. ये बाद का कॉन्सेप्ट है. फिलहाल prioritize. Limited resources, prioritize in the food security. We got the food from US. तो उसके बाद से 1950s में the first priority in the first 5-year plan agriculture, second 5-year plan industries, 1991 के बाद services. So that was prioritizing our sectors. This is why government had to choose कि करना क्या है. Why do you have to choose? Because the resources are scarce and your wants are unlimited. You know, I give this example about this limited resources and unlimited wants. इंसान है ही ऐसा. Human has been created in this way or evolved in such a way. उसकी wants हमेशा बढ़ती रहती है. You know, once I was in my school days, everybody in my school, I was in 9th or 10th class, I guess. My father got me a bike. Everybody had the bikes. तो उन दिनों bikes का लड़कों को काफी शौक होता है. So he got me that racing type of bike. होता था उसका. तो उसमें एक satisfaction है which I cannot replicate. वो एक अलग मजा देता है. तो मैं 10th 9th क्लास में ही got me a bike and I used to drive around. बट 2-3 साल हो गए. मैंने कहा अब बाइक नहीं चाहिए. तो कॉलेज के टाइम मैं आस्क्ड हिम कि कोई भी गाड़ी दे दो, बस चलनी चाहिए, 4 पैर वाली. वी हैव टू नीड टू हैव 4 टायर्स. मैं कुछ भी चला लूँगा. सेकेंड हैंड पैकेट तुम 4th हैंड दे दो, मैं चला लूँगा. तो ही गॉट मी अ कार, स्मॉल. आई यूज्ड टू ड्राइव दैट इन माई कॉलेज डेज. उसके बाद से तो कॉलेज छोड़ा तो फिर कमाना शुरू किया. तो अपनी गाड़ी लाई. तो अपनी गाड़ी अब थोड़ा अच्छी फर्स्ट हैंड प्रीमियम टाइप की, पर वो भी चला 1-2 साल. उसके बाद और पैसा आया तो कहा नहीं अब ये भी अच्छी है, नहीं है, अब मुझे एसयूवी चाहिए. तो आई गॉट एन एसयूवी. अब वो मैं पिछले 4-5 साल से चला रहा हूँ. नाउ इज अ टाइम दैट आई डोंट लाइक इट एनी मोर. आई नीड अ हेलीकॉप्टर. ठीक है. और हेलीकॉप्टर के बाद भी ये कंटिन्यूसली चलता रहेगा. अनएंडिंग वांट्स है. इट विल नेवर रिटायर. इंसान कंटिन्यूसली मांगता रहता है. और उसको मिलेगा कितना, दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन द लिमिटेड सेट ऑफ रिसोर्सेस. ठीक है. दैट इज अ गिवन इन इकोनॉमिक्स. ये हो गया आपका डेफिनेशंस. Next part that I want to cover is next question. Is economics a positive or a normative? Is economics a positive or a normative science? Positive or a normative science? Now see what is positive or a normative science. एक simple example देता हूँ मैं आपको. Example से you'll understand. Suppose we have biology. Anyone from a background in biology? I'll not ask anything. It's just what have you done? Masters level का है किसी का? आपका भी graduate? You graduate. चलिए आप ही से पूछता है. With your knowledge of biology, try to understand what I'm trying to say here. With your knowledge of biology, can you say that rape is bad? Rape is bad. With your knowledge of biology. Anyone?
Morally it is bad. Morally it is bad.
I know what it is, but with the knowledge of biology, can you say that? अब biology की पूरी knowledge इस्तेमाल करोगे, you will not be able to say that rape is bad. Because biology does not deal with moral questions. It doesn't deal with morality. Good and bad is a moral concept. सही क्या है, गलत क्या है. Like, use your all scientific knowledge of any of the disciplines that you've learned. Scientific knowledge. And tell me that सच बोलना अच्छी बात है. Prove it to me scientifically. You cannot prove it. It's a moral concept. ये morality डील करती है इसके साथ. ये ethics, religion डील करता है. Religion बोलता है सच बोलोगे स्वर्ग में जाओगे, झूठ बोलोगे नरक में जाओगे. ये moral concept है. Religion gives you morality. It has these, space that it has created in our mind. कि इंसान भी एक moral entity है असल में. आप एक mechanistically जी रहे हैं. For example, you don't have any morality inside you. There will be a time when you'll have hollowness in your heart. You would require some like spiritual fulfillment as well. इसीलिए हम कहते हैं भाई कमा रहा हूं मैं सब कुछ. I'm earning like 10 lakhs a month, but I don't have that fulfillment. Peace नहीं है. Peace आपको अपने family से मिलता है, अपने दोस्तों से मिलता है. Now you talk to your friend, you're just talking. He's not giving you any monetary benefit. You're just talking. It fulfills your heart. So that is insan has a spiritual entity, has a spiritual aspect attached to his personality as well. तो morality का concept is not derived from biology. इसका एक अलग sphere है. ये religion से आता है, philosophy से आता है. Philosophy tells you सच बोलना अच्छा है, झूठ बोलना गलत है. Philosophy tells you rape मत करो, it's bad. Don't hurt other people. Religion tells you that. Don't kill anyone. It is as if you have killed the whole of humanity. That is the religious aspect of it. Biology does not deal with that. तो biology किसके साथ डील करता है? Biology only tells you what is. क्या है? Your body क्या है? Body कैसी है? आपके biological processes कैसे हैं? It's just telling you that. Biology is not telling you कि while you took the COVID vaccine and your antibodies started to get produced in your body, immune response was generated in your body, and your immune cells attacked the COVID virus and eliminated the virus, and it was a bad thing. Biology इसके साथ डील नहीं करता है. Biology just tell you what happens. ऐसे science को which only tells you what is happening, we call it a positive science. Positive science only deals with what is. Positive science only deals with what is. क्या हो रहा है? It does not involve moral judgment. It does not involve moral judgment. इसमें moral judgment नहीं होती है. Positive science cannot provide value judgments, moral judgments. In Hinduism, we have this concept mentioned in Vedas that earthquakes. किसी ने ज्योग्राफी तो पढ़ा होगा आपने बहुत सब ने. ज़लज़ले, earthquakes क्यों आते हैं? Why does earthquake happen? Why does an earthquake happen? Anyone? Movement of plates, tectonic plate convergence. That is the answer to the question, how does it happen? My question is, why does it happen? You're just giving me the answer of how. ऐसे होता है सर, कन्वर्जन प्लेट्स टकराते हैं, स्ट्रेस डेवलप होता है, रिलीज होता है, अर्थक्वेक आता है. दैट इज द आंसर टू द हाउ क्वेश्चन. माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई. कन्वेक्शन करंट्स ऊपर उठते हैं, डाइवर्जेंट प्लेट वो कन्वर्जेंट हो जाए. दैट इज अगेन द आंसर टू द हाउ क्वेश्चन. अगेन द आंसर टू द हाउ क्वेश्चन. मोशन ऑफ अर्थ ऐसी क्यों है? व्हाई? Equilibrium. What sort of equilibrium? Why there is a nature? Why there is this principle in the universe that you need to observe, you need to achieve equilibrium? ऐसा क्यों है? Why is there the universe in the first place? Earth rotate कर रहा है. Why? You cannot answer why questions. आप ज्योग्राफी कितना भी लगा लो, why questions cannot be answered in science. You can only answer how does it happen. आप बस बता सकते हो earthquake कैसे आता है, क्यों आता है. Why questions are not dealt in science. I tell you how did the universe begin. So you start from the point singularity. then the inflationary theory, then started the expansion of the universe, then the Big Bang, etc., etc. Continue बोल रहे हैं आप. You're giving me the answer to the how question. But my question is, why did it began at the first place? शुरू क्यों हुआ? You will not be able to answer it. Why question का जवाब नहीं देता है साइंस. Why question का जवाब कौन देता है? आपका रिलीजन. You know, Hinduism में this concept कि earthquake क्यों आते हैं? earthquake इसलिए आते हैं जब बेहयाई बढ़ जाती है. बेहयाई का मतलब होता है when there is like people don't respect each other anymore, like girls don't respect the guys and guys don't respect the girls. तो उसमें जब बढ़ जाती है तो ऊपर वाला झाड़ू फेर देता है, earthquake टकराते हैं. This is what they've said. Again, the same thing is repeated in Islam as well. Same thing. तो the idea is कि ये philosophy और religion आपको why questions का जवाब देता है. Why did the universe begin? God created it. Answer to the why question. Why did God create it? Another answer. Because unless there is no creation, how would you recognize the creator? जब तो उसने कुछ बनाया ही नहीं तो वो creator कैसे कहलाएगा? He had to create something to become a creator in the first place. So this is the answer to the why question. Philosophy, religion देता है. How questions are that dealt in physical sciences जो आप पढ़ते हो. तो मैं यही बता रहा हूं आपको. Positive science cannot make moral judgments. It just tells you how does the thing happen, what is happening, how does it happen. But दूसरी तरफ से what do you have? Normative science. Normative science tells you what ought to be. What ought to be. What ought to be. Or what should be. It does make value judgments. Does make moral judgments. Now see, what should be? We should have a society. Piyush, just give me a moment. We should have a society where there is equality, where there is fundamental rights given to every citizen of the country. We should have a society where everybody is patriotic. ये एक आइडियल यूटोपियन आइडिया आपको बेच रहा है. वी शुड हैव दिस एंड वी ऑट टू हैव दिस. वो है आपका मॉरल मोरालिटी. ऐसा होना चाहिए जहां पर रिस्पेक्ट हो. ऐसी सोसाइटी जहां पर हर एक दूसरे का ख्याल रखे. गुर्बत खत्म, पॉवर्टी खत्म, एम्प्लॉयमेंट सबके लिए. सच हो, सच पे बेस्ड, ट्रूथ पे बेस्ड सोसाइटी. ऑल मॉरल जजमेंट्स. सो वी हैव ऑन द वन हैंड what is happening, just tells you how the thing is happening and what is happening. On the other hand, you have the what should happen. Now my question is economics a positive or a normative science? Economics आपको ये sphere इसका जवाब देगा और economics will answer you these questions. Very good, Karan. Economics is both. Economics is both. It is positive as well as normative. How? Economics tells you poverty ratio कितना है. What is the poverty ratio? अभी head count ratio कितना है poverty? What is the amount of population which is under extreme multidimensional poverty? It gives you a number. What is the amount of people that are under poverty? It has a poverty line. इसके नीचे जितने वो poor, इसके ऊपर जितने वो above poverty. It gives you a number. What is the poverty level? It also tells you that poverty should be eradicated. Garibi hatao slogan in the 5th 5-year plan. There should not be poverty. There should be modernization. There should be social justice. It was the objective of Planning Commission in 1950. 6th objective was social justice hona chahiye. Equal opportunities for all. There should be a society, there should be an economy where we have equal opportunities for all. That is the concept of inclusive growth. तो ये है आपका what should happen and it is also telling you what is happening. So economics आपका दोनों है. It is a positive science as well as a normative science. Or I made you understand what is the difference between the two. Normative economics is also known as regulative economics. I know. Normative economics is also known as regulative or prescriptive. Normative economics is also known as regulative or prescriptive. चलिए, this is the answer to what is economics, a positive or a normative science. Next, we have the division in economics. Division. I have not yet come to your syllabus. I'm just introducing the subject. Once I'm done with the introduction, उसके बाद I'll come to आपके prelims और mains में कहाँ से questions आते हैं. First of all, you need to get a broad overview of the subject. Division in economics. Economics के subject, as a discipline, which is both a positive as a normative science, it tells you what is happening. It also tells you what should happen in a society. So, of that subject, which is economics, how many divisions do we have? Majorly, we have 4 divisions. We have microeconomics, we have macroeconomics, we have mesoeconomics, we have metaeconomics. Piyush is saying how answers the why questions. Now see, Piyush, if I tell you why did life begin at Earth, why did life begin at Earth, you will not be able to answer this. You put this question to any of the biologists, evolutionary biologists. Why did life begin? Nobody has an answer to this question. It's a big problem in biology. Why did the universe begin? It does not require any morality. You said that it gives moral, it has to have a moral answer. It does not have a moral answer. Other processes lead to life on Earth. Exactly. You're again answering the how question. How did life begin? That is an answer to the how question. Why did those processes have to occur? Why are the physical laws the way it is? Aapki universe is actually guided by the physical laws, the laws of physics. Who has drafted those laws of physics? Why do we have E is equal to mc square? Why is it true? Why is mathematics working in the universe? You will not be able to answer it. Okay, so we have micro, macro, meso and meta. Now, अच्छे से समझेंगे. It will be the last part of our introductory, lessons. Micro, macro, meso, meta क्या है? सबसे पहले, when economics began, I already talked about it was initially a science of wealth, जहां पर we are trying to see the difference between rich and the poor. ये देखा ना हमने, rich and the poor. Now we have a rich household, we have a rich household, we have a poor household. We have a poor household, and there is a difference of wealth between the rich household and the poor household. So primarily we're talking about how did rich become the rich, how did poor remain poor. So we're talking about households. एक individual household ने पैसा कैसे develop किया. One producer, for example, Edukemy is a producer in the economy. A single producer in the entire industry. One single producer that is producing services. So we are the producers. One individual producer. You are individually the consumers. तो एक producer का कैसा behavior होता है economy में? As an individual unit in the economy, how does the producer react to the changing circumstances? How does the consumer react? Consumer का एक reaction होता है, as the prices rise, he reduces the demand. उसकी demand कम हो जाएगी जैसे चीज महंगी हो जाएगी. The more and more the prices are rising, the less he will demand. तो ये है इसका consumer का behavior. ऐसे होता है प्रोड्यूसर का बिहेवियर, इंडिविजुअल यूनिट्स कैसे काम करते हैं. So when you study in India, you're talking about these individual units in which you have Edukemy is an individual unit. I am an individual unit. You as a consumer are an individual unit. A company, a firm is an individual unit. All of these are individual units. So how do these individual units in the economy, behave? What is their economic behavior? उसको हम कहते हैं माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. इट ओनली टॉक्स अबाउट इंडिविजुअल यूनिट्स, कि उन्होंने वेल्थ क्रिएशन कैसे किया, क्या प्रोडक्शन करते हैं, क्या कंजम्पशन करते हैं, हाउ डू दे अर्न मनी, हाउ डू दे स्पेंड मनी. दैट इज ऑल अबाउट इंडिविजुअल यूनिट्स. सो व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट इंडिविजुअल यूनिट्स, we talk about microeconomics. It deals with individual units. Individual units. Individual unit में you have a firm, a producer, a consumer, etc. All of them are individual units. Individual units. Suppose हमारे पास एक जंगल है, forest. You don't want to study the entire forest. What you want to study is individual trees. It is an analogy of microeconomics. You're not studying the forest entirely. What you're studying is individual trees. आप एक एक ट्री को स्टडी करते हैं. That is microeconomics. You're not studying the entire economy. You're studying the individual's behavior. इंडिविजुअल की डिमांड, इंडिविजुअल की सप्लाई, बस वो सब. क्योंकि इंडिविजुअल से ही व्हेन यू हैव द एग्रीगेट, फॉर एग्जांपल आई स्टडी हिज डिमांड, व्हाट्स योर नेम? क्रॉस. इनकी डिमांड आई एम स्टडीइंग, एंड देन आई स्टडीड हर डिमांड, देन आई स्टडीड हिज डिमांड, एंड देन आई मेक द एग्रीगेट ऑफ ऑल डिमांड, दैट बिकम्स द एग्रीगेट डिमांड. But to have the aggregate demand, you need to first have the individual demand. So I want to study in microeconomics the individual. So microeconomics only deals with individual units. उसके बाद what do we have? Macro. Macro deals with economy as a whole. It does not deal with individual units. It deals with economy as a whole. Deals with economy as a whole. Economy as a whole. Now pay attention. इसको मुझे समझाना है थोड़ा आपको. In micro, we actually studied individual units. In macro, you don't want to study individual units. You want to study economy as a whole. If this was the study of trees, then this is the study of the entire. अब आप इंडिविजुअल ट्रीज नहीं देखना चाहते, आप पूरा फॉरेस्ट देखना चाहते हो. दिस इज व्हाट सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी सेज. अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इज वन ऑफ द ब्रिलियंट इकोनॉमिस्ट दैट इंडिया हैज एवर प्रोड्यूस्ड. सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी. सुब्रमण्यम स्वामी सेज असल इकोनॉमिस्ट मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट होता है. दिस इज व्हाट ही सेड. जो असल इकोनॉमिस्ट है, ही इज अ मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट. मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट डज नॉट सी क्रॉस, हाउ इज क्रॉस डीलिंग इन द इकोनॉमी. नो, he has the imagination of the entire Indian economy. उसको पता है, if I increase the repo rate, the MSME sector is going to be going to register low growth. उसको पता है, अगर मैंने इन्फ्लेशन को पकड़ा तो मेरी ग्रोथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाएगी, अगर मैंने ग्रोथ को उठाया तो मेरी इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाएगी. He has the understanding of the entire economy, and he says that economy is just like a water. देखिए स्विमिंग पूल पे आपका पानी होता है, तो दैट वाटर इज वेरी स्टेबल. आपने क्या किया, पानी के एक तरफ से यू पोर्ड अ बॉटल ऑफ इंक, ब्लू इंक डाल दिया अपने पानी में, एक जगह पर डाली आपने. वुड दैट रिमेन एट दैट पॉइंट ओनली? नो, अंदर ही अंदर से फैल जाएगी, कहीं और से निकल जाएगी. दैट इज माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. यू नीड टू हैव एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द एंटायर इकोनॉमी. दैट इज व्हाट आरबीआई डज. आरबीआई क्या करता है, जैसे ही रेपो रेट गिराएगा उसको पता है कहां पर क्या असर होने वाला है. So Raghuram Rajan is credited to have, to have stabilized the inflation in India. At his time, we did not have much inflation. महंगाई ज़्यादा नहीं था. But because of him controlling the inflation, we had to compromise on the growth of the MSME sector. एक तरह से पूरा टर्मोइल में चला गया MSME sector. तो ये होना चाहिए एक मैक्रो इकोनॉमिस्ट का imagination, knows the entire economy. Now the question is, why isn't individual study of the individual giving you an idea of the entire economy. If you want to study the individual, it should give you the idea of the entire economy. Suppose what is true for this individual should be true for the entire economy. So why do we have to study entire economy separately in macroeconomics and individual units separately in microeconomics? ये separate क्यों है? Why haven't they been clubbed together? Because individual जब जमा होगा वही आपको क्या देगा? Economy as a whole. But no, economy as a whole is a separate science. An individual study is a separate science. Now you will understand this and you will value this, what has been already covered 2 years back in the economic survey, some paradoxes. I'll put in front of you 2 paradoxes. With these 2 paradoxes, you'll understand that why we don't use individual science when we study the economy as a whole. जब आप पूरी economy को पढ़ते हो, we don't take individuals into consideration. We take economy as a whole as a separate entity and we then talk about that entity. Now, why is that a separate entity and why is individual a separate entity? We'll understand that with 2 paradoxes. Macroeconomics helps us understand the 2 key paradoxes. The first paradox is the paradox of thrift. Paradox of thrift. Paradox of thrift. Paradox of thrift. What am I trying to do here? I'm telling you why studying economy as a whole is important for us. Why microeconomics has failed in a way. You know, there is an economist by the name of Ruskin and Carlyle, 2 economists, very big diggaj player economists. They've said that microeconomics is a failed science. It is a dismal science. Fail again, disgraceful. Why? Because it failed to predict the 1929 depression of United States. कुछ नहीं कर पाया microeconomics. तो वो है मसला थोड़ा. Micro is not that important for us as well. इसीलिए आपके सिलेबस में भी माइक्रो नहीं आता है, क्वेश्चन नहीं आता है माइक्रो से. मेजर क्या आपका? मैक्रो. Now we'll understand why macro is important. Pay attention. First paradox of thrift. I'll need a volume. What's your name?
Janish.
Janish. Spelling?
Jai.
Jai.
NIS.
Janish. कहाँ से आप? गुजरात से. So we have Janish from Gujarat. Is he an individual or the entire economy? He's an individual. So if Janish has an income of 30,000 per month, what he does is he has some very good expenses. कभी मूवी देख लेता है, कभी रेस्टोरेंट चला जाता है, and he spends almost 25,000 every month. And the remaining money is how much? 5,000. That is the money he saves. 5,000 बचा लेता है. Now my question to you is, if Janish wants to increase his savings, can he do that? Can he do that? Yes, he can do that. How? He has to bring down his expenses. So what he'll do is, he'll stop going to restaurants, he'll stop going to movies. So he'll only spend how much? 20,000 and he'll save 10,000. Thereby, he has increased his savings. What am I trying to do here? I'm telling you, if an individual in the economy tries to increase the savings, he will be able to increase the savings. अगर वो सेविंग बढ़ाना चाहता है तो वो बढ़ा सकता है by bringing down his expenses. An individual, if he tries to increase the saving, he can increase the saving. But if the same thing is done at an economy level, economy as a whole, when you try to increase the saving in the economy, the saving comes down. ये paradox है. At an individual's level, you just now saw with the example, if Janish is trying to increase the saving, he can easily increase the saving. But if the same thing has to be done at an economy level, economy as a whole level, so they'll not be able to do it. If everybody tries to increase the saving will come down. Economy ke level par. This is known as the paradox. The paradox of savings. या paradox of thrift. Thrift means savings. समझ आ रहा है? This paradox was quoted by economic survey. I'll tell you, can I say, something which is true at an individual's level is not true for the economy as a whole. Can I say that? Something which is working at an individual's level is not working at the economy as a whole. This problem is known as the fallacy of composition. The fallacy of composition. The fallacy of composition. What is fallacy of composition? What is true for an individual might not be true for the economy as a whole. What is true for an individual, what is true for an individual might not be true for the economy as a whole. For the economy as a whole. Janish, is it clear? I'm just putting a question. I have not explained thrift for now. मैंने explain नहीं किया ऐसा क्यों होता है. I'm just putting a question to you. कि Janish tried to increase the saving. He easily increased the saving. So it was true at an individual level. But once we did the same thing at the economy level, everybody tried to increase the saving. The savings came down. That became a paradox. What is true for an individual is not true for the economy as a whole. This problem is known as the fallacy of composition. Now this is where macroeconomics comes into picture. Macroeconomics आपको बोल रहा है अब. सबने लिखा? Everybody look at the board. Macroeconomists came in and said, what you're trying to do here is that you're looking at microeconomics, that is individual, and you're using this micro at a macro level. फिर से मैं बता रहा हूं. What is true for an individual is true at the micro level, and you're using that at the macro level. It is failing. Micro level economics is failing when you put it at macro level. You need a separate discipline to study the macro, alag se, wherein you don't take into consideration the micro aspects of it, you take into consideration the economy as a whole. Now see how macroeconomics gave us the answer to the paradox of thrift. उसने क्या बोला? Now it is macroeconomics, macro perspective of paradox of thrift. Macro perspective of paradox of thrift. Now see how macroeconomics gave the answer to this question. Pay attention. Janesh was increasing the saving. Now you need a macro perspective. Everybody in the economy has to increase the saving. Everybody wants to increase the saving. So what they do is, everybody in the economy wants to increase their savings. Now this is not only one individual doing it, this is everybody doing it. That is the macro level. Economy as a whole. अब हर एक saving बढ़ा रहा है. Can I say when everybody is saving more, the expenditure is falling in the economy? सारी economy में expenditure गिर गया. When the expenditure is falling, can I say the demand is falling? बता सकता हूं या नहीं? When the demand is falling, when there is no demand, Edukemy में कोई आना ही नहीं चाहता. There is no demand. Would we supply? We cannot supply. There is no supply. अब supply ही नहीं है. Edukemy does not want to produce, does not want to supply. Will they hire a teacher like me? They will not hire. What would that make me? Unemployment will rise. जब supply गिरेगी, कोई बनाना ही नहीं चाहता कुछ. They don't produce anymore. What would they do with the teachers? They would start firing them. Unemployment will rise. When unemployment will rise, what will happen to the income of the people? Income will come down. When there is no income, how would you save? The savings will come down. समझ आ रहा है? This is how, if everybody started to save in the economy, the savings would come down. This is macro level, macro perspective. Want me to repeat it? जल्दी जल्दी repeat करता हूं मैं. आपने क्या देखा? Paradox of thrift क्या था? Individual was saving, he was able to save. But when the economy entirely is saving, They're not able to save, the savings come down. So how does that happen? When everybody starts to save more, in reality they are spending less. When they are spending less, they are demanding less. When there is no demand, the supply is also less. जब supply ही नहीं है, there will be high unemployment. People will start firing these employees. Unemployment will rise. Well, unemployment will rise. They will have no source of income. The income will come down. When there is no source of income, there will be less saving in the economy. समझ आ रहा है? So can I say what is true for an individual might not be true for the economy as a whole? Yes. There is another paradox. We call it wage employment paradox. Wage employment paradox. Wage employment paradox. Now, what is wage employment paradox? Pay attention. Pehle we'll take a micro perspective at an individual level. Suppose we have a firm like Edukemy. My question to you is, Edukemy wants to increase the employment. Edukemy wants to increase the employment. And they come to me, sir, we want to hire more teachers. We want to increase the employment. We want to have a squad of around 20 teachers in GS. I said, fine. But do you have resources? We have limited resources. Jaise maine aapko kaha, resources are always scarce and limited. So what Edukemy will do is, if they want to increase the employment, if they want to rise the level of teachers we have in the firm, what I suggested is कि सर जो ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग टीचर्स हैं जिनको आप 20-20 लाख का पैकेज देते हो उनका पैकेज कम कर लो. Reduce the package. Reduce their wages. You reduce the wages so you will get more amount. So once that amount is in your hand, you can hire more people. तो जिनको आप 20 लाख देते थे उनको 15 लाख दे दो. तो आप पैसा बचाओ. So you reduce the wages, you can increase the employment. So what we have to do is, if you want to increase the employment in a firm, we have to reduce the wages. That can easily be done. समझ आ रहा है? This is true for an individual level. आराम से किया जा सकता है. A firm does this. When the firm has to hire more people, they reduce the wages. Once they reduce the wages, they can hire more people. Is it logical? At an individual level, absolutely, we can do that. But now we want to do the same at economy level. Now what happens is, Prime Minister comes to me and said, we want to increase the employment in the country. Now I am a microeconomist. उन्होंने मुझे कहा बताइए, you give me an idea कि employment कैसे बढ़ाए पूरी country में employment कैसे बढ़ाए. तो what I told him is, सर आप क्या करिए, आप वेजेस कम करिए. बिकॉज मैंने क्या पढ़ा है माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में, वेजेस कम करते हैं एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ जाती है. आई टोल्ड द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया दैट यू रिड्यूस द वेजेस ऑफ द पीपल, you reduce the wages, you will increase the employment. But what in reality happened when Pradhan Mantri Modi started to reduce the wages in the country to hire more people, employment did not increase, employment came down. Wages जैसे ही उन्होंने कम किया, employment भी गिर गई. So individual के level पे क्या हो रहा था? When the wages were falling, employment was rising. But when we used this concept and applied it to the economy as a whole, we reduced the wages, employment also reduced. Again, a paradox. We call it a wage employment paradox. Can I say again? Something is working at an individual level, but it's not working at an economy level. Something which is true at an individual point of view is not true for the economy as a whole. Is there again a fallacy of composition? Yes. फिर से वही चीज हो रहा है. So to understand why is it happening, why is the wages, the fall in wages reducing the employment in the country, you need to have a macro perspective of it. तो हम wage employment paradox का macro perspective लेंगे. Macro perspective. Now see, how macro perspective will explain this wage employment paradox. For example, now everybody in the economy is reducing the wages. तो आपका इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे क्या हो रहा था? When the wages were reduced, employment was rising. Now see what happens. Edukemy में we have a team of around 100 people. बैंगलोर वाला सेंटर है, टोटल अगर देखा जाए 100 people की टीम है. We have to reduce the wages of 100 people to just get 10 more people. So by giving a job to 10 people, you're actually impacting 100 lives. You're reducing the wages of 100 people to just give benefit to 10 people. So you're reducing the wages overall in the economy. When you reduce the wages, what will happen? What would be the impact of these reduced wages on 100 people? They will start to spend less because their wages have been reduced. उनकी spending कम हो जाएगी, expenditure कम हो जाएगी. When there is less expenditure, can I say there is less demand? Can I say that? When there is less demand, can I say the supply has to be reduced? जब डिमांड ही नहीं है तो सप्लाई करके क्या करेंगे आप? जब सप्लाई ही नहीं है, you're not able to supply, would you produce? You don't have to produce, you have to bring down the supply. When you have to bring down the supply, would you need more people or less people? Less people. Employment will come down. Employment will come down. समझ आ रहा आपको? डिमांड ही खत्म हो गई. जब डिमांड खत्म होगी, why would you hire more people? You have to kick off people from the firm. So this is what was the paradox. Wages are falling and this leads to a fall in the employment level. Clear हो रहा है? How was this explained? It was explained from a macro perspective. What was true for an individual level? Wages were falling, employment was rising. Now what is happening? Wages are falling, employment is also falling. But it has to be understood from a macro perspective. समझ आ रहा है? That is macro. Next is mesoeconomics. Mesoeconomics. How many of you have next class after this? कितने बजे? 11:30. I'm sorry, I will not be ending. I don't adhere to timing. ठीक है, जब तक टॉपिक खत्म नहीं होगा आप लोगों को बैठना पड़ेगा. मेसोइकोनॉमिक्स. मेसोइकोनॉमिक्स सब क्या है? Mesoeconomics tells you it is neither micro nor macro. It is neither micro nor macro. That means ना ही ये इंडिविजुअल यूनिट है, neither it is the economy as a whole. Yes, it is somewhere in between. For example, I am writing an example at the board. I want you to think about it and tell me this example is of which sector. I wrote this automobile sector. Should this be part of microeconomics or macroeconomics? Automobile sector. Micro is an individual unit. Macro is economy as a whole. पूरी economy. बताइए, what is automobile sector? दोनों, इंडिविजुअल भी है और पूरी इकोनॉमी भी है. Now see, you have the entire economy as a whole, जिसमें you have automobile sector, have other manufacturing sector, you have agriculture sector, you have forestry, you have fishing, you have services, you have mining, you have processing, सब कुछ. This is economy as a whole. इसमें automobile sector is just part of it. So is automobile sector economy as a whole? No. Economy as a whole is everything. ठीक है ना? So it is not macro. But is it micro? Now see, when you study the automobile sector के अंदर you have Tata, you have Maruti, you have Suzuki, you have Mercedes, you have Volkswagen, you have Ford. इस सेक्टर के अंदर आपकी फर्म्स है. टाटा इज द फर्म, इट इज अ माइक्रो लेवल इंडिविजुअल यूनिट. मारुति इज अ फर्म, इंडिविजुअल यूनिट. ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर इज नॉट एन इंडिविजुअल यूनिट, इट इज एन एंटायर सेक्टर दैट हैज दीज इंडिविजुअल यूनिट. समझ आ रहा आपको? तो ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर इज नीदर माइक्रो नॉर मैक्रो, इट इज पार्ट ऑफ मेसो इकोनॉमिक्स. For example, study of a particular sector. Study of a particular sector. Study of a particular sector. समझ आ रहा है? Study of a particular sector. Lastly, we have meta economics. Meta economics. Meta. Now see, you have economics here. You know, physics as a concept does only talks about nature. ये नेचर की बात करता है, नेचुरल लॉज की बात करता है. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट, आप सबको कभी ना कभी दिमाग में एक क्वेश्चन आया होगा, डज गॉड एग्जिस्ट? है ना? फिजिक्स कैन नॉट आंसर दिस. फिजिक्स आपको बताता है विद द गिवन सेट ऑफ कंडीशंस दैट वी हैव, व्हाट आर द फिजिकल लॉज. गॉड एज अ कॉन्सेप्ट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ नेचर. If God is part of nature, you can easily identify. You can identify that, you can experiment, you can verify, you can give a scientific evidence for God. We do not have a scientific evidence for God. You might have a moral evidence that morality is derived from a superior being because the biological processes don't create morality. Consciousness is derived from a superior being. That is a moral and a conscious argument. That is not a scientific or a biological argument. तो आप साइंटिफिक एविडेंस दे ही नहीं सकते गॉड की, बिकॉज देयर इज नो एविडेंस. गॉड इज बाय डेफिनेशन नॉट पार्ट ऑफ नेचर. अगर गॉड पार्ट ऑफ नेचर होता तो कहां है यूनिवर्स में, बताइए? और जहां भी है हम जाएंगे वहां उसका एविडेंस निकालेंगे, और एक्सपेरिमेंटली वेरीफाई हो गया, देन गॉड डज एग्जिस्ट. यू डू नॉट हैव अ साइंटिफिक एविडेंस. इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम इन थियोलॉजी, द हिडननेस ऑफ गॉड. द पीपल हु आर stern believer in God, they also know that the God is hidden. He has kept himself hidden if you believe in him. If you don't believe, then there is no question of existence or non-existence. अब तो पता ही आपको क्यों नहीं है. अगर आप मानते भी है तो आपको साथ में यह भी मानना है कि वो छुपा हुआ है, बिकॉज वो जाहिर नहीं. लेट्स अज्यूम फॉर द सेक ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट देयर इज अ गॉड, और आसमान फटकर उसने आपको बोला कि मैं हूं. खत्म, देन आपकी लाइफ तो खत्म. You cannot decide anything. Why? Because there is so big a super being जिसने आपको बोला कि मैं हूं and you have to work according to my will. Everybody would turn into an immediate slave. What freedom you have is only when the God is hidden. जैसे ही वो दिखेगा आपको खत्म, सारा टेस्ट खत्म. समझ रहे आप पॉइंट क्या है? He has kept himself hidden if he is there. So you do not have a scientific evidence of God. Why? Because by definition God is not part of nature. He is supernatural, that we call it. He is supernatural. और supernatural चीजों के साथ फिजिक्स डील नहीं करता है. फिजिक्स डील करता है फिजिकल लॉज नेचर के साथ. तो समथिंग पार्ट ऑफ नेचर इज डेल्ट इन फिजिक्स. समथिंग विच इज नॉट नेचर, दैट इज सुपरनैचुरल, इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ फिजिक्स. आपको जैसे कोई साइंटिस्ट बोलता है, कोई होता है जैसे एथिस्ट होता है. How many atheists do we have in the class? You have an atheist there. 2 atheists. So you tell them कि angels होते हैं, and they'll laugh at you. Why? Because they want to have a scientific evidence of angels. But according to people who believe in angels, they don't consider angels to be part of nature. We consider them supernatural, cannot be studied in physics. We can give a moral argument, a philosophical argument of the existence of God. We cannot give you a scientific argument. Now, the point is, God is not part of nature, he is part of supernatural. Supernatural चीजों को स्टडी करने के लिए फिजिक्स इज नॉट देयर. यू हैव टू गो बियॉन्ड फिजिक्स, और बियॉन्ड फिजिक्स क्या है? मेटाफिजिक्स. ओके, हो गया? मेटाफिजिक्स डील्स विद सुपरनैचुरल. इन द सेम वे, इकोनॉमिक्स इनिशियली डेल्ट विद वेल्थ. आज का इकोनॉमिक्स इज नॉट वेल्थ, इट इज बियॉन्ड वेल्थ. इफ यू हैव टू स्टडी बियॉन्ड वेल्थ, तो आपको बियॉन्ड इकोनॉमिक्स जाना पड़ेगा. दैट बिकम्स मेटा इकोनॉमिक्स. आज के इकोनॉमिक्स में व्हाट डू वी स्टडी? वी स्टडी इकोनॉमिक्स के साथ साथ एनवायरमेंटल, डोंट राइट, एनवायरमेंटल सस्टेनेबिलिटी. नाउ टेल मी, व्हाट इज द गुड इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी इफ यू आर नॉट टेकिंग इनटू अकाउंट एनवायरमेंटल इंपैक्ट? तो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी है, इंडस्ट्री सेटअप करनी है, एनवायरमेंटल इंपैक्ट एडजस्ट करना पड़ेगा. That becomes a good economic policy. What good is an economic policy if you don't know Indian society? पॉलिसी बनानी है, सोसाइटी के हिसाब से बनाओ, इंडिया के इथोस के हिसाब से बनाओ. वी कॉल इट द नॉर्मेटिव अप्रोच ऑफ नीति आयोग. उसने क्या कहा? उसने कहा हम बनाएंगे इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी दैट विल बी वैल्यू बेस्ड इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी. इंडिया के हिसाब की पॉलिसी बनाएंगे. सोशियोलॉजी हैज टू बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन. What good is an economic policy if you don't know what man is? That is anthropology, study of man, part of economics now. What good is an economic policy if you don't know psychology? Psychology is also now part of economics. Psychology. I'll give you one single example of psychology in economics. Have you gone to any supermarket? जाते हैं आप, सुपरमार्केट में पीछे से छोटा छोटा सीरीन सा साउंड चलता रहता है. You never pay attention कि हनी सिंह है या अरिजीत सिंह है. You never pay attention to that. पर चल रहा होता है पीछे से बैकग्राउंड. There's a song that is being, continuously that is playing, but you're doing your shopping. Now ask a psychologist, why do we have these songs being played in the background in a supermarket? He'll tell you that human beings have a tendency that wherever they listen an instrumental sound being played, they tend to spend more time in that place. और शॉपिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स में ज्यादा समय गुजारने का मतलब हो गया ज्यादा शॉपिंग करना. दैट इज यूज ऑफ साइकोलॉजी इन इकोनॉमिक्स, इन ट्रेड. अनदर एग्जाम्पल, एवरीबडी वुड हैव नोटिस्ड दिस, टूथब्रश. हम सुबह सुबह हर कोई ब्रश करते हैं. सो वी हैव अ टूथब्रश लाइक दिस. और अगर आपने एक अच्छा टूथब्रश लाइक गुड टूथब्रश, आपको पता होगा आगे कुछ कलर अलग होता है, पीछे का कलर व्हाइट कलर होता है. लेट्स सपोज वी हैव ब्लू कलर हियर एंड वी हैव व्हाइट कलर एट द बैक. एंड व्हाट वी डू, एवरी मॉर्निंग वी टेक द टूथब्रश, हम उस पर टूथपेस्ट लगाते हैं ऐसे, एंड वी स्टार्ट डूइंग द टूथब्रश. हैज एनीबडी टॉट यू टू डू टूथब्रश लाइक दैट? किसी ने सिखाया? आपने ट्रेनिंग ली है कहीं पे? वी हैव नॉट टेकन ट्रेनिंग फॉर दिस, वी जस्ट डू इट. पता ही नहीं कब सीखा हमने, बस कर रहे हैं बस ऐसे. नाउ आस्क ए डेंटिस्ट कि जब मैं टूथब्रश करूंगा, व्हाट इज द अमाउंट ऑफ टूथपेस्ट दैट आई हैव टू यूज? ही विल टेल यू, जो आगे कलर रखा है इतना ही इस्तेमाल करना है, जस्ट नीड दिस मच. इसीलिए रखा होता है ताकि उसी पर डालना है. बट व्हाई डू वी यूज दैट मच? बिकॉज ऑल ऑफ अस हैव सीन कोलगेट वाला एड. वो लड़का लड़की आपस में दांत वांत दिखा रहे हैं, सब लाइटें बाहर निकल रही है दांतों से, और वैसे कुछ करके कर रहे हैं. यू डोंट इवन नो दैट यू आर फॉलोइंग देम. We call it in economics the bandwagon effect. आपको पता ही नहीं आप क्या कर रहे हैं. You are following them like anything, and you don't even realize it. That is the big, क्या कह सकते हैं, tragedy. We are following them, we don't even realize it. So this is how they tend to make your choices. Psychology, playing psychology. Another example is a crude example. Don't take it like at heart. It's just for fun. But this is true. Evidence के साथ बोल रहा हूं. I'm not saying anything out of evidence here. You have the makeup. जो मेकअप करते हैं primarily, अब तो कोई भी कर सकता है. तो suppose we have makeup being done. अब मेकअप कर रहे लड़की, लेट्स सपोज लड़की मेकअप कर रही है, डज इट इंप्रूव योर productivity at work? If you have makeup on, it might make you feel good and you might do good work, but the feeling has to do with it, not the end, the product. Makeup आपका improvement, drastic improvement नहीं कर सकता productivity में, but why do we go for makeup? और makeup भी कैसा? Suppose we have these, थोड़ा reddish complexion बनाने की कोशिश होती है, everybody wants to be fair, और fair के बाद भी उसमें रेड यहां पे करना और रेड यहां पे करना, एवरीबडी वांट्स टू डू दैट. आस्क अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट, व्हाई वाज मेकअप बीइंग डिजाइन्ड लाइक दिस? मेकअप का जो भी आपका वो फाउंडेशन और फिर जो भी, आई डोंट नो द वर्ड्स क्या होते हैं, इफ यू डोंट हैव द ब्रश, सम पीपल व्हाट दे डू इज वहां चिमटियां मारते हैं, था ऐसे ऐसे करके वो थोड़ा लाल बना लेते हैं उसको. पीपल डू दैट. व्हाई डू वांट टू डू दैट? बिकॉज आपने देखा है एवरीबडी इज डूइंग इट. Bandwagon effect. Everybody is doing it so that you don't feel out of fashion. You also have to do it. And it was designed in such a way, and these places were spotted in such a way कि इस पे स्टडी हुआ था कि इंसान का जो फेस है वो सेक्सुअल अराउजल के टाइम कैसा दिखता है. बिकॉज इवोल्यूशन आपको करता है व्हेन इवोल्यूशन वांट्स टू हैव मोर ऑफस्प्रिंग्स. इसीलिए यू हैव टू बी सेक्सुअली अट्रैक्टिव टू द अपोजिट जेंडर एंड योर फेस टर्न्स रेड ड्यूरिंग सेक्सुअल अराउजल. दैट इज व्हाट मेकअप हैज एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू ट्रांसफॉर्म in physical spaces. वो बराबर उसी चीज को कॉपी कर रहा है, and it makes you more sexually provocative. Ask anybody. Don't play around with this thing. You need to know इसके पीछे का messaging क्या है. Another example of sandals, like we have these heels, which is type heels. Tell me, is it comfortable to walk on this? Everybody knows that it's not comfortable. My cousin has a lot of हील्स. तो उनका क्या था, हील्स होती है छोटी है, वो टीनेज में ही है, उसको फिर हमें शाम को वॉलिनी की फिर मालिश करनी पड़ती है कमर को. इट्स नॉट कंफर्टेबल टू वॉक ऑन दिस. नोबडी विल टेल यू इट्स कंफर्टेबल. मगर व्हाई डू यू डू दैट? एवरीबडी इज डूइंग इट. आपको ऐसा ना लगे कि मैं कुछ आउट ऑफ फैशन हूं इसलिए आप भी कर रहे हो. अंडरस्टैंड द डिजाइन बिहाइंड इट. हील्स को इस तरीके से बनाया गया है कि जब आप हील्स लगाते हो और आपका पैर ऐसा रह जाता है, योर शिन ये अंदर की तरफ जाता है, एंड योर हिप्स गो बैक. इट बिकम्स, योर पार्ट्स आर मोर प्रोमिनेंट व्हेन समबडी लुक्स एट इट. दैट इज हाउ इट हैज बीन डिजाइन्ड. इसका मकसद वही है, टांग को, बॉटम वाली टांग को अंदर की तरफ खींचना और हिप्स को बाहर की तरफ खींचना. दैट इज हाउ इट हैज बीन डिजाइन्ड. नाउ यू कैन डू इट फॉर वट एवर रीजन यू आर डूइंग इट. आई एम नॉट क्वेश्चनिंग योर वेरासिटी, आई एम नॉट क्वेश्चनिंग योर इंटेंशन, बट व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग इज the product has been designed to deliver this message. आप किसके लिए? my mother does a lot of makeup. I don't question her intention. What I question is the product and why it was designed in such a way. It is the use of psychology in economics. So once you do all this, it becomes meta economics, beyond economics. समझ आ रहा आपको? Right on. Humanizing of economics. Humanizing of economics by accounting for the imperative of sustainable environment, including elements of moral philosophy, psychology, anthropology, and sociology. 2016 से लेकर 2023 तक. Tomorrow I'll be giving all the topics of economics. 16 से लेकर 23 तक किस टॉपिक से how many questions we had in the prelims and how many questions we had in the mains and from which topic, so that you understand कि as I as a subject have already introduced economics to you. कल अब हम subject specialization करेंगे इसमें. We'll take one topic and start cracking that topic. But first of all you need to get a tagline. 16 से लेकर 23 तक कहां से क्वेश्चन आए. तो ये कल मैंने बहुत फ्लैग करके 2023 के मेंस के क्वेश्चन भी डाल दिए उसमें. कल आपको जो डेटा सेट मिलेगा इसमें, दैट विल बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू अटेम्प्ट द 2024 वाला एग्जाम. तो ये हम कल कर लेंगे. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स आई विल बी आउटसाइड द क्लास. I'll be sharing the sources tomorrow. All right, bye. Indranil, it is the bandwagon effect. Thank you.